My name is Johnson Hu. I am a freshman in high school, but I am already worth hundreds of millions. My family is very rich and has a strong background because my father's company is called Manhwa Group, which is involved in trade with countries all over the world. In addition, my brother is the deputy secretary of the Liaoning Provincial Party Committee and is 15 years older than me. To be honest, I don't want to inherit the family business. I just want to live an ordinary life in the market. But things did not go as planned. My father asked me to inherit the company and sent me to Yinghai. I was smart since I was a child and was called a genius. I mastered knowledge easily and had completed university courses when I was in junior high school. In order to take over the company smoothly, I also completed MBA courses. In addition, I also learned piano, guitar, Go, etc. After arriving in Yinghai City, I quickly became proficient in Go and chess. And at the age of 10, I was earning pocket money by playing games. Gradually, I came into contact with the old men in the park to play chess, and gradually became famous in their circle. However, my life soon became boring until the first day of the new year when my friends and I went to a barbecue restaurant and encountered three girls being harassed by a group of tattooed men. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but take action and knocked out the two harassers with a beer bottle. Then six big men surrounded me, and I was beaten all over, but I escaped with my agility. Fortunately, someone helped me, and the police arrived in time to subdue those men. This experience made me realize that although I am gifted with talent, physical strength is just as important. So, I started weight training every morning, practicing jiu-jitsu and wrestling at noon, and studying mixed martial arts and strength training at night. My teachers, all retired gold belt fighters, told me it would be hard to learn so much at once, but I did it effortlessly. As my training progressed, I began to participate in sparring in various boxing gyms. At the end of each training session, although I was sometimes bruised and battered, I learned something from every blow. I decided to invest in a boxing gym and a billiard hall and gradually make these industries part of my home. By the time I graduated from junior high school, more than half of the boxing gyms and billiard halls in Yinghai had become businesses owned by my father and my friend Thomas's father. I also began to get involved in business, and I felt that this was more interesting than being a policeman. I was a genius student whose grades were always out of reach, and my teachers were always troubled by me. But who would have thought that I have always been caught between rebellion and self-centeredness, and I no longer want to live according to the rules. The school rules, the teachers' expectations, everything is like a cage, and I never want to go down that path. My life has been like two parallel lines since I was a child. The outside world saw me as a genius boy with a rich family background and outstanding academic performance. However, these halos could not hide the confusion and rebellion in my heart. My parents planned a future for me, expecting me to inherit their family business and follow their path, but I never had such a dream. When facing my parents, I always feel an indescribable sense of oppression. For them, success means inheriting their father's business and having power and money. However, all of this is just a high wall that I can't breathe in. I don't want to be their definition of successful, nor do I want to be bound by that boring, luxurious life. Until one day, I was sent to this school and became a freshman in Yinghai No. 1 High School. As the provincial champion, I deserved countless attention and expectations, but I didn't want to be surrounded by these halos anymore. Deep down, I longed for a kind of freedom, a freedom that was not bound by worldly eyes. In class, I chose the most inconspicuous place, the last row by the window. For me, this is the only place where I can think independently. When I first entered school, I made a promise to stop catering to anyone and live the way I want. My grades have always been among the best. From the moment I entered the classroom, my homeroom teacher Richard fixed his eyes on me, as if he had known that I was a troublemaker. I was a little irritated and didn't want to be scolded, nor did I want to listen to his boasting. So I sat quietly by the window, looking out the window, ignoring his anger. I didn't give Jessica a second glance when she came in. She was the second best student in the school and sat in the last row like me. The head teacher's face became more and more ugly, and he seemed to think that we were challenging his authority. Teacher Wang began his lecture, talking about the beauty of college in the future, but his emotions did not calm down. He then began to arrange the curriculum, emphasizing daily self-study time, from morning to night, without interruption. I listened impatiently, thinking to myself, is this the so-called quality education? Finally, I stood up and broke the dullness. Can I apply to not attend the morning, noon, and evening self-study classes? The whole class's eyes were instantly focused on me, and everyone was shocked by my directness. The head teacher was stunned for a moment, then angrily asked back, "Why are you special?" I responded calmly. I don't really like studying for long periods of time. I'm afraid I'll get tired of studying if I continue like this. As soon as I said this, the class fell silent. Everyone obviously didn't expect that someone would challenge the teacher's authority on the first day of school. Then, Jessica also stood up and said that she couldn't attend the morning and evening self-study classes either. The reason she gave was, "My mother runs a business and I have to help her." Her excuse did not impress the head teacher, but made him even more angry. Nonsense. How can you, a student, do such a thing? However, she still insisted, "I still want to give it a try." The head teacher was extremely angry. His face turned red, and he was ready to fight back fiercely. Unexpectedly, I asked another question. "If I don't want to be in this class anymore, can I apply for a transfer?" The head teacher's face became even uglier. He didn't expect that I would continue to challenge his authority so bluntly. At this time, Dean James came in, and seeing the awkward situation, he immediately pulled the head teacher to the corridor to negotiate. Although the head teacher wanted to maintain his dignity, he knew that he could not let go of a student like me easily, because my grades were enough to benefit him. I had expected today's trouble. James, the dean of studies, always threatened students, but I knew that today he was just looking for an excuse to attack me. "Come with me to the dean of studies," he said as usual, and I didn't care. Anyway, I've gotten used to his verbal attacks over the years. The atmosphere in the training room was depressing. James always emphasized that Jessica and I were good students when he lectured us, but he always focused on the small mistakes we made. I didn't bother to explain. Since he was a good student, why should he make a fuss over such a small matter? Changing classes was just a small request from me, but in James' eyes, it was an intolerable big mistake. Jessica is a friend I've known since elementary school. She's quiet and introverted with solid grades. Wherever we go, it seems we can't avoid her plight. She doesn't understand me. She's just used to having me around to protect her. When she mentioned changing shifts, I knew she was just relying on me, used to me always being behind her. I never worked hard, but my grades were always easy. For ordinary students, the rise and fall of grades are full of pressure, but for me, everything is so easy. James said, "Teacher Wong is an excellent teacher," but I had no interest in agreeing with him. All I wanted was freedom, and I didn't want to be bound by any rules. I casually mentioned changing classes, but in fact I was just trying to escape this prison-like school. James scolded me again and again, but it still didn't touch me. For me, any rules in school are too complicated. Grades are just numbers to me, not worth my effort. When James called the parents, I knew it was all settled. They wouldn't come over, they never cared about me. They just let me let myself go outside. My parents were away on business, and the parental responsibilities had long since fallen on someone else. Wang Jun, the man who came to replace my parents, seemed to know what I was going to face from the beginning. The trigger was just my request to change shifts. James stared at me, unable to believe that I would make such a request. In his eyes, Class 8 is just a place for students with connections and money. Yes, the students in Class 8 are not bad, but it is full of the power of capital. But I don't care. Class 8 also has its advantages. Anyway, I don't want to be bound by those boring restrictions. The parents' arrival brought me little comfort. Jessica's mother quickly made it clear that she absolutely did not support her daughter's class change. Jessica and I have been friends for many years, and her family doesn't want to cause her too much trouble. In contrast, Wang Jun, who took my parents' place, was more flexible in his attitude. He knew my abilities and had even been spoiled by my parents' indulgence. So, after some discussion, I was finally transferred from Class 1 to Class 8. Changes in the class are just a small matter to me, but to those who are chasing rankings, it seems like a big deal. When I first transferred to Class 8, everyone stared at me, especially the newcomer Zhou Kegang. When he introduced himself to Class 1, he looked very proud, as if he had mastered the whole world. But I knew that he was just an ordinary person with a little money. The atmosphere of the new class is completely different from that of Class 1. As soon as I entered the classroom, I felt a different atmosphere. The originally noisy classroom suddenly became quiet. Several students stood up and applauded, including my old friends who had been waiting for me, the number one in the province, to join. And I just sat down casually, thinking to myself that maybe in Class 8, I could get more of the freedom I needed. But I know that this kind of pride is nothing but a vain thing. The expectations of my head teacher and classmates make me feel a little depressed. I just want to do my own thing like usual, low-key, and comfortable. That day in the cafeteria, Zhou Kegang approached me with a slightly provocative tone, but I easily resolved it. He probably didn't understand that this seemingly inconspicuous boy in front of him was the person he should not mess with the most. As for Jessica, she transferred from Class 1 to Class 8 and accidentally became Zhou Kagang's target. I didn't like Zhou Ke's frivolity, but I didn't intend to confront him head-on. After all, a person like him who was not worth mentioning could be deterred by just a few words. However, Zhou Ke was obviously not that simple. He was not satisfied with being ignored by me, and he actually started to take action. What a brainless guy. I didn't rush to take action against him. Instead, I let him taste the consequences of his actions first. What Zhou Ke said just now sounded a little silly, but it was true that he would not let this go. I knew he would ask for help. I knew in my heart that what happened tonight would not be so easy to get over. I told Bor, ask a few brothers to wait across from the school tonight, so that no one can take advantage of you. He nodded and said nothing more. After lunch, everyone had nothing to do, so they just leaned back in their chairs and waited boredly. Johnson casually mentioned, Bor, get ready tonight. Bo is always so reliable. He just want to call someone, don't worry. Then I noticed Jessica quietly adjusting her seat. Her little action was actually very obvious. She just wanted to let herself and Zhou Ke less meet. Although Teacher Richard was very busy, he still met her request. As the night fell, Zhou Ke suddenly disappeared. I guess he went to look for someone. Jessica guessed who he had contacted and quickly told me about it. I just smiled faintly. I had expected this to happen. There was nothing to worry about. At 8:30 in the evening, the school bell rang. Class 8 of grade 1 was like any other ordinary class, and the school dismissal time was 8:30, nothing special. I walked out of the classroom and was met by a group of parents waiting for their turn. Occasionally, I could see some new students chatting with them about school. I didn't expect that there were more people I didn't know at the school gate. At first glance, their attire was a little strange, and they didn't look like students at all. Among them, a bald man stood in the front, looking a little arrogant. Zhou Ke was next to him, and I couldn't help but frown, knowing that trouble might come tonight. Zhou Ke said to the bald man, Brother Bald, help me teach those guys a lesson. Let them know who they can't mess with. Bald Brother took over the conversation and nodded. Although he was a little hesitant, he still accepted the red envelope and cigarettes from Zhou Ke. I know that this is not the first time he has done this. Bald Brother has always been ruthless. A few minutes later, my friends and I walked out of the school gate. Suddenly, a little yellow-haired boy ran over and asked us to follow him, saying that someone was looking for us. Everyone laughed instinctively, thinking that this was just a small episode and not worth mentioning at all. You've come just in time. Zhang Jiong spoke first, with some provocation. Before he could finish, Lu Yuhao interrupted him directly. Don't waste words, get out of here. He spoke directly and without any politeness. At this moment, I pulled Lu Yuhao back and patted him on the shoulder. Okay, don't worry. Then I walked up to the little yellow-haired boy, gave him a slap, and said with a smile, How can you do things if you can't control your emotions? The little yellow-haired boy was completely stunned at that moment. He didn't expect that we were not only not afraid, but also had no reaction at all. So he went back to report to the bald brother that we rode away directly. The bald man cursed and chased after us with his men. Several people ran breathlessly, trying to catch up with us. In fact, we had already realized the movement behind us, but we deliberately did not rush to stop and deliberately led them further away. We knew that once we were far away from the school, it would be less likely to cause a big fuss. After running for a while, I heard their voices getting closer. Finally, they stopped. You dare to run again? The bald man shouted breathlessly. I looked back and sneered. Is there something? Thomas also looked at the bald man coldly, with sharp eyes. Why is it you? The bald man was stunned and suddenly saw a familiar face. It turned out that Thomas had seen him before. Thomas smiled and said jokingly, Brother Bald, didn't Brother Leopard get good treatment from you? How about I follow you and call him Brother Leopard? Brother Leopard is the boss of Brother Baldhead. You have to call him Grandpa, understand? The yellow-haired man was still arrogant. Don't talk first. The bald man's voice was trembling, obviously a little nervous. When Zhou Ke saw that the bald man didn't let the yellow-haired man speak, he thought that the bald man wanted to save face for himself, and he was in a good mood and prepared to continue provoking him. Little bastard, do you know who your grandfather is? Zhou Ke pointed at his own face and said to the rest of us, I told you there are some people you can't afford to offend, right? Thomas and the others didn't react, just watched coldly. What are you looking at? Are you scared? Zhou Ke continued to provoke. At this time, Bald Brother said to Zhou Ke in a low voice, Brother Zhou, let's calm down first. No, Bald Brother, I will feel uncomfortable if I don't curse a few words. Zhou Ke didn't hear the implied meaning in Bald Brother's words at all. Soon, A group of people formed a circle and surrounded the four of us. I looked at Zoku and said, Zoku, this is your last chance. Take your people and retreat. I will pretend that nothing happened and let it go. How about that? I think peace is the most important thing. After all, we shouldn't waste time on these little hooligans, but Zoku obviously doesn't think so. Turn the page? Sure. Zoku sneered, kneeled down and kowtowed 3 times to apologize, and then asked me to make peace with you. My brothers, have a meal and stay away from Jessica in the future, and this matter will be over. These words scared the bald brother, and he kept pulling Zoku's sleeve and didn't dare to interrupt. The bald brother whispered, Brother Zhou, let's calm down first. Things are not that simple. But Zoku didn't listen and was still stubborn. No, I will feel unhappy if I don't scold them a few words. I sighed in my heart, he is so petty. I told you to kneel down. Don't you understand? Zoku's tone became tougher, and the atmosphere became more tense. The onlookers on the road also noticed this scene and gradually formed a larger circle. Thomas saw all this, pointed at the bald man, and said, Brother Bald, is it approved? After hearing this, Bald Brother knew that this matter was not simple. He whispered to Zoku, The big brother I follow is Abayo. Let's not make a big fuss here. When Zoku heard the Bald Brother mention Abayo, he looked a little puzzled. What's going on? Bald Brother, do you know them? Yes, I know them. They are our people. The bald man smiled. Don't worry, let's forget about today's matter. The bald man turned around and prepared to leave, but Joe was unwilling to accept it. You took my money. Why are you leaving like this? The bald man was anxious and quickly took out the red envelope and cigarettes he had just received. I'll return the money and cigarettes to you. Let's forget about today. I'm really sorry. I stopped and looked at the bald man coldly. Are you leaving? I asked you to stand aside with your people. The yellow-haired guy obviously didn't realize the change in the situation and continued to be arrogant. What? You don't accept it? Thomas couldn't bear it anymore, pointed at the yellow-haired guy and said, Come here. What's wrong with me coming over? The yellow-haired guy pushed Thomas as he walked, cursing, Fatty, be quiet. Thomas didn't waste any words and directly gave the yellow-haired guy a liver-bursting punch, which made him curl up on the ground immediately, gasping for breath and pain. Everyone around was startled and stood aside, not daring to step forward. I whispered to Zhang Jiong, Call Abayo and ask him to take the person away. Abayo was very angry when he heard the call. Knowing that we were in trouble at school, he immediately locked the billiard hall and rushed over. I know in my heart that this matter can only be resolved through Abayo. Zoku was still furious, seeing that he not only did not gain any advantage, but was instead attacked back. His anger almost exploded. He suddenly turned around and looked at us angrily. He must have been very upset because nothing went the way he expected. At this moment, a cold shout came. Which class are you from? What are you doing? What are you doing? Suddenly, a thin man squeezed in from outside the crowd. It was our school's principal, Mr. James. It was time for school to end. Most of the students in the regular classes had left, but the key classes in the 3rd year of high school and the 1st and 2nd year of high school had to continue their evening self-study. James was preparing to inspect the campus when he heard a student report that some idle people outside the school were besieging our students. He was so angry that he immediately stopped his work and ran out. After leaving the school gate, James saw the crowd at a glance. The guys wearing strange clothes and dyed colorful hair stood out. James barely squeezed into the crowd and saw the yellow-haired guy curled up on the ground. He immediately stood in front of us and pointed at the hooligans. Fighting in public places? Do you have any rules? Where did you come from, you jerk? One of the yellow-haired guys was irritated by James' voice and spoke impatiently. My heart was warmed when I saw Director Liu standing up to help us. I couldn't help but feel that teachers are teachers. Although they are strict, they always care about the safety of their students. The responsibility of teachers is to teach and educate, impart knowledge and solve problems, and shape the souls of students. This is their duty and mission. James walked up to the thug without any hesitation and shouted angrily, You can't even get into our Yinghai High School, and you dare to come here to block our students? Don't you even look at your own character? James lectured them for a full 20 minutes. The little hooligans were scolded so hard that they dared not resist and kept their heads down. To them, the teacher's authority was above all else. In situations like this, everyone obeyed by default. Teacher, please calm down. It's not your fault that these people are useless. Lu Yuhao handed over a bottle of water and said in a flattering manner, Shut up. These people don't look for anyone else but you guys. You must have done something to offend them. James didn't give Lu Yuhao any face. I watched this scene and couldn't help but admire director Liu's courage. Although he was not tall, his righteousness was something that people could not underestimate. Finally, Abeo arrived, had a brief conversation with James, and then led the gang away. Abeo wanted to come over and apologize to me, but I looked at him and signaled him to leave quickly. The crowd of onlookers gradually dispersed, and Zoku also quietly slipped away, hiding in a corner and not daring to make a sound. James didn't seem to be planning to let us go yet. Student Johnson, how much trouble have you caused today? Not only in school, but also outside. I knew that Director Liu would inevitably give me a lecture. I smiled bitterly and responded, Teacher, I really didn't cause any trouble. I just happened to run into this situation. James snorted coldly. Why does it happen to you instead of me? While scolding me, he looked at several friends around me. Actually, there was nothing wrong with the teacher's lecture. I knew in my heart that it was indeed me who caused the incident. I knew that James' teachings were all for our own good. Student Johnson, your name is Johnson, but you can't be careless. You are a person with a promising future, so don't get involved in the bad habits of society. James' tone gradually became stern. Stop getting into trouble and focus on studying. Yes, 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 I responded hastily, but in my heart I was thinking that it was a good thing he didn't mention my more personal problems. What is your relationship with Jessica? James asked suddenly. I was stunned for a moment. Friends, just friends, I hurriedly explained, afraid that he would misunderstand. You're overreacting, but you two are really going too far. One of you is first and the other is second. You should focus all your energy on studying. It won't be too late to talk about other things after 3 years. Okay, Director Liu, I will definitely not fall in love too early, don't worry. I nodded quickly, and the other 3 also helped to speak up. Finally, James finished his lecture. He looked at the 4 of us and said, You were all sent here by your parents. Don't let their money go to waste. Do you understand? We had no choice but to nod our heads obediently, thinking that we would still need to digest today's lecture. After the training, James let us leave, and we hurried home. After returning home, I knew Zoku would not let go of what happened today. Although it was a bit of a fuss, there were too many people gathered outside, and the school would definitely strengthen the management of school rules and regulations. So, I decided not to cause trouble for the next few days, contact my old friends, and think of a solution after a while. However, I knew I couldn't confront him head-on, so I took a detour. I picked up the phone and dialed my father's secretary's number. Uncle Zhao, this is Xiaoka. I would like to trouble you to help me check someone, Jessica from Class 1, Grade 1, Inghai High School. That night, a few friends and I did not go home directly, but went to Abeo's billiard hall. As soon as we arrived at the door, Abeo saw us and quickly greeted us. Brother Hu, I'm really sorry I didn't teach my people well. Abeo is older than me, but I am also somewhat famous in society. I am brave and loyal, and everyone likes to call me Brother Hu. Brother Bao, this is not your fault. I smiled. After all, you didn't know I would be there in advance. Now, I'm a number 1 high school, and our people should stop causing trouble to the school in the future. Don't worry, Brother Hu. Bao agreed, and then called Baldy and the others over. Come over quickly and apologize to Brother Hu. The bald men walked over with their heads down. Brother Hu, I'm so sorry. I waved my hand. It's okay, it's not a big deal, you don't know me anyway. Although the bald man bowed his head and apologized, I could feel that he was not completely relieved. After all, I'm the boss of the boss, and young people tend to hold grudges. If you don't give me face in the future, it will be bad. However, for me, this is really not a big deal. As I said, it's all a small matter. The next day, the school did not investigate our specific behavior. It just briefly mentioned yesterday's incident on the radio and emphasized the importance of learning. In the following days, I went to school and went home on time as usual. My life was easy and comfortable. The only thing that became more arduous was that I had to tutor Zhang Zhiyong, Thomas, and Liu Yuhao. The progress of high school was really fast, and my ability became more and more outstanding. The top students in other classes had to do exercises and review, but I could basically relax after class. Even so, I still had to spend time tutoring them. After all, they couldn't keep up with the learning progress. In order to help them, I tailored a suitable study method for each person. Otherwise, they would have fallen behind long ago. At noon that day, Lin Jishuan called me and said that someone in the market was secretly asking about Jessica and her mother's family situation. I went to ask, but I didn't get anything. The other party was obviously very vigilant, but since he didn't do anything excessive, it was not convenient for me to take any measures. However, I still began to suspect that Zoku was behind it. After all, the root of the conflict was Jessica. Although this analysis makes sense, what can we do without evidence? The other party just inquired about Jessica's family situation and did not do anything malicious. I learned from Secretary Wang that Zoku's father is the district chief. Although I am not afraid, Jessica's family conditions are ordinary. For safety reasons, I asked Lin Jiexuan to send more people to keep an eye on her. Time passed quickly, and high school life was quietly changing. Everyone was getting more and more familiar with each other. One night, the head teacher Wang Yaqiang walked into the classroom and announced a piece of news. The annual provincial college basketball game is about to begin. Because of the college entrance examination, the senior students, except for those with sports specialties, will not join the basketball team. The first-year students will select 8 students from Class 6 to Class 12 to join the basketball team. This news made me very happy. I always like to participate in basketball games. As soon as the teacher finished speaking, I immediately signed up. The other brothers did not hesitate and followed me to sign up. The next day, the number of applicants increased rapidly. In the 4th class in the afternoon, everyone gathered at the basketball court. Teacher Bai Yang was explaining the selection criteria to us. He said that the team's lineup this year still lacked a few positions, at least point guard, shooting guard, power forward, and other roles. The next selection method was a 3v3 bullfighting match, with 5 balls in each game. The winner was not the winner, but the performance. The game went very fast. Although Thomas and his team were not in the same group as me, they performed equally well. In fact, teacher Bai Yang and other physical education teachers also noticed that the physical fitness and basketball skills of the 4 of them far exceeded most of the senior high school students, and were even better than some sports students who had practiced for 3 years. Bai Yang was secretly surprised to see these performances. Not only him, but other physical education teachers and students on the sidelines could see that Johnson and several of my friends were not to be underestimated in terms of their strength and could potentially be professional basketball players. My teammate was 2 small guys about 1.65 meters tall, who basically played point guard and shooting guard. Although I was not particularly tall, I was 1.8 meters tall, and the other team had 3 big guys with an average height of about 1.8 meters. In a one-on-one matchup, our small guards had almost no chance and had to rely on their flexible bodies to open up space and find opportunities through passing. Although the small guys were flexible, they basically didn't pass the ball, and they just forced their way through after getting the ball. They did succeed twice at the beginning, but the opponent adjusted their defense and started to help defend, so it became difficult to break through. I saw them force their way through and get blocked, but they immediately made a layup and dunked the ball. Bai Yang saw this scene and was amazed at my jumping ability. There are not many high school students who can do a tip-in. 3-1, then I dribbled back and shot a 3-pointer, which was successful, and the first game ended. In the second game, Liu Yuhao's height and jumping advantages were apparent, and he almost didn't let the opponent touch the ball. His rebounding and assisting defense made it easy for him to lead us to a 5-0 lead. Next is Thomas. Although he is 1.7 meters tall and weighs 200 kilograms, he plays very well as a shooting guard. Thomas's shooting is accurate, and he can hit both 3-pointers and mid-range shots. Although he is very independent and never passes the ball, he is capable enough to give the team an advantage by scoring alone. Finally, it was Zhang Zhiyong, who had strong ball control and was able to pass the ball to his teammates from almost any angle. Zhang Zhiyong's performance fully demonstrated his advantage on the basketball court, and his unexpected passes always disrupted the opponent's defense. After one class, the 5 groups finished competing. Bai Yang had a full understanding of everyone's abilities and began to call out names for selection. In the end, Liu Yuhao, Thomas, and Zhang Zhiyong from Class 8 were all successfully selected, while the other students were eliminated. A boy was dissatisfied and raised his hand to show that he was not convinced, thinking that he was no different from the selected ones. Bai Yang looked at him and said, "Then you challenge them. Whoever wins stays, and whoever loses goes away." Du Chao challenged Zhang Zhiyong, but was easily intercepted by Zhang Zhiyong during a breakthrough. Then Zhang Zhiyong scored and Du Chao fell to the ground and never got up again. Through this game, my teammates and I showed our advantages, and Bai Yang and all the students in the audience saw our strength. I looked down at Du Chao, who was still lying on the ground. When he slowly stood up, Zhang Zhiyong's voice came over. "You're a little too bad. Learn slowly." He threw the ball and returned to the team in a cool manner. Du Chao was stunned for a few seconds and seemed to have no energy to respond. Finally, he left silently, without saying hello to the teacher. Only 8 selected players were left on the field, and the others had already dispersed. Bai Yang brought 6 veteran basketball players and asked them to introduce themselves. My name is Sun Hee, and I'm the captain of the #1 high school basketball team. I'm a small forward. Welcome everyone to join the basketball team. Let's work together and strive to win the championship in the first year. He seemed very confident when he spoke, even a little boastful. However, everyone knew that the basketball team of #1 high school had always been at the bottom of the city's rankings, and Sun Hee's exaggerated words were more like encouragement to himself. His eyes always stayed on those girls who were interested in basketball, as if he could get some attention through this identity. Then, the other players introduced themselves one by one. My name is Li Wei, and I'm a small forward. His tone was very concise, and it was obvious that he just wanted to complete this self-introduction. I'm Yang Zhongnan, point guard, acting vice captain. Yang Zhongnan looked very modest, not particularly excited about the opportunity. I'm Song Jian, shooting guard, he said, glancing at Thomas next to him. Everyone knew that the two had very different personalities, one fat and the other thin. I'm Hao Yusher, power forward. After introducing himself, he pointed at Zhang Ziqiang next to him and said, "This is Zhang Ziqiang, center, playing the same position as Lin Jiqiao and Jin Xiaofeng." Zhang Ziqiang smiled, obviously not caring about Hao Yusher's teasing. Bai Yang briefly explained the training arrangements, especially emphasizing that the city basketball team will start playing after the midterm exam. Starting tomorrow, we will start training after 6 p.m. every day. Everyone's main job is still studying, and it should not affect their studies. His words were very organized, but the most important thing was the last sentence. Under the new rules, all new members have the opportunity to enter the starting lineup. After the training, everyone dispersed. Sun Hee and Li Wei were walking back, and Li Wei asked in a low voice, "Brother Hee, you said that Lao Bai suddenly changed the rules. Are you trying something new?" Sun Hee was a little unconvinced after hearing this. Maybe he wants to try a new style of play. He paused. "Are you worried that you won't be able to play as a starter?" Li Wei immediately denied it. "How could that be? I'm just worried about you, Brother Hee." He continued, "I think Johnson has good skills. What if he performs well and the coach takes a fancy to him? What should we do?" Sun Hee was silent for a while and did not respond immediately. Li Wei saw this and immediately comforted him. "But I think the other players are about the same level. Even if Johnson performs well, he won't take away the main force." Sun Hee looked at him deeply, thinking to himself, how could his position be shaken by others? Johnson is a new member. Since he is here, you should teach him more and take the lead. Don't let him think recklessly. Li Wei understood what he meant and immediately nodded and agreed. "Of course, Brother He, I will definitely teach him well." Johnson had no idea about this. He had just joined the basketball team and had little contact with anyone, but he had already become a competitor in the eyes of some people. When I walked into the classroom, I sneezed a few times and couldn't help but wonder, is someone talking about me behind my back? As soon as I sat down in the classroom, I received a call from Lin Jiexuan. I knew that he usually didn't call at school, so this time he was obviously busy. The phone rang, and I raised my hand to ask for leave from my homeroom teacher, Wang Yaqiang. "Teacher, I need to go to the toilet." Teacher Wang didn't say much, but waved his hand and let me go out. When I walked out of the classroom, I answered the phone. "Brother Who, something happened." Lin Jishuan's voice was urgent. Jessica's mother's stall was smashed, and several people rushed out, destroyed the stall, and ran away. He reported anxiously. I asked, "Have they caught the person?" "No, he ran away in the chaos." Lin Jiesun said helplessly. "It was too chaotic when the market was closing." I asked, "How is Aunt Yang?" "She's fine, just scared." "The police came and took a statement," he replied. I immediately said, "I'll go over there. You deal with some clues first. By the way, don't tell Jessica." After that, I hung up the phone and took a taxi directly there. In the car, I listened to the busy tone on the phone and felt a little annoyed. Lin Jishuan was really an unreliable character. Although he said that there was a high probability that he would not be found, it was such a simple matter, but he couldn't even catch a few gangsters. 20 minutes later, I arrived at the market. Lin Jishuan was waiting for me at the entrance of the management office. When he saw me, he immediately said, "Brother Who, look at the surveillance camera. There are 5 people, and they're moving quickly." He pointed at the surveillance screen. "These people are very professional." "But," I asked. Lin Jishuan continued, "I heard from the onlookers that someone had a snake head tattooed on his neck." He paused. I looked it up. Jia Hui, the owner of Huiyao Entertainment Club in the Western City District, is nicknamed Snake Brother and likes to raise snakes. "Brother Snake?" I repeated with some guesses in my mind. He is not a simple man, and his background is quite strong. It will be difficult to deal with someone with a background, right? Lin Jie-sun was a little worried. I looked at him and said, "Have you ever thought about doing something else? You can't always be the head of security guarding your father's market." He was stunned. I don't know what to do. I have no education and no ability." I looked at him and said calmly, "I'm leaving Huiyao Entertainment Club to you. Can you take care of it?" Lin Jishuan was obviously surprised. "Huiyao? Jia Hui's territory? You know him?" I answered slowly, "He is not mine, and Huiyao is not my territory, but it should be in a few days." After hearing this, Lin Jishuan had a vague understanding in his heart, knowing that this was an opportunity. "Brother who, don't worry, I won't let you down." I made a simple arrangement. "You and Thomas go to Huiyao tonight to check it out and tell me the result tomorrow." He nodded quickly. "Understood, Thomas will convey it to you." After I left, Lin Jishuan began to mobilize his own people, contact various channels, and arrange Thomas's action. Although he didn't know anyone from Huiyao, he knew that the mission had been issued and he had to complete it. As for me, I didn't have much hope that Lin Jishuan could do well. I just wanted to put some pressure on him and see how far he could go. I didn't want to support someone who was idle. It's better to do it myself than to rely on others. On the way, I helped Jessica's mother clean up the stall. Aunt Yang was very grateful, but she told me not to tell Jessica, fearing that she would worry. At night, in Huiyao's VIP room, Jia Hui was singing with two hostesses in his arms, and the atmosphere was ambiguous. Suddenly, a subordinate knocked on the door. "Brother Snake, people are going upstairs," the younger brother reported. Jia Hui responded calmly, "I know, let them come in by themselves." He swallowed the beer handed by the girl while giving orders lazily. After the younger brother left, he arranged dozens of brothers to stand by in the corridor using the intercom. Lin Jishuan and Thomas brought a dozen people to Huiyao. There were bright lights and luxury cars at the door. Lin Jishuan was a little proud for a while, imagining what it would be like if he took over this place. Thomas calmly arranged for people to investigate the outside and inside of the club, and the rest of the group followed them into the club. The two were led to the second floor, where the corridor was full of security guards in suits. "Brother Snake is in the innermost box. You can go there by yourselves." A security guard pointed to the front. Lin Jishuan was experiencing this kind of scene for the first time and was very nervous. Although he was a few years older than Thomas, his reaction was more of envy. Looking at these security guards with strong auras, he couldn't help but compare them with the security guards in the market and felt that he was in a completely different world. Thomas didn't care and walked towards the box. The security guards gradually approached, and the atmosphere was tense. Thomas pushed the people in front of him away with his strong aura and strength. Until he met a fat man, Thomas stopped and said lightly, "Get out of the way." The fat man didn't react, so Thomas immediately attacked and punched him in the chin, knocking him unconscious. A fight broke out, and other security guards rushed up, with fighting continuing in the corridor. In the box, Jia Hui was still eating and drinking leisurely with the girls, unaffected at all. With a loud bang, Thomas grabbed a security guard and threw him against the door of the box, which opened. Lin Jishuan and Thomas stumbled in, and the three men behind them and the security guard outside had been knocked to the ground. Jia Hui looked at the two people who came in and smiled with a hint of contempt. I was wondering who they were, but they turned out to be two little brats. "Listen to your uncle and go home quickly. Even though you can fight, I'm afraid you can't get away." Thomas responded calmly, "Forget it, I won't compete with you for food. I came here to talk to you." "What to talk about?" Jia Hui raised his eyebrows. Thomas got straight to the point. "My friend's market stall was smashed today, and I want an explanation." Jia Hui sneered. "Explanation? You little brat? Who do you think you are? Why should I give you an explanation?" Lin Jishuan quickly interrupted. "Brother Snake, I don't know if I have offended you in any way. If it is a misunderstanding, we will resolve it tonight. If there is a problem, we are willing to apologize, but please help me solve this matter, Brother Snake." Jia Hui patted the girls next to him and signaled them to leave. There were only 3 people left in the room. He didn't let the two sit down, but Thomas and Lin Jishuan didn't care. They sat down directly and even opened a bottle of beer for each other. Thomas asked, "Brother Snake, do you think I'm a little bit underestimating me because I am young?" Jia Hui put down his glass. His eyes changed a little. "Fat San? Are you Fat San?" He finally became alert. Half of the boxing gyms and billiard halls in Yinghai City are under his control. There must be a powerful person behind Thomas. No wonder you are so good at fighting. You are a boxing champion. Jia Hui started to get serious. Thomas said calmly, "I'm not here to cause trouble today." Again, what happened to the stall being smashed? I don't know about that. Xiaohui was a little impatient. Thomas took out a photo with a snake tattoo on it. Brother Snake, this tattoo is only for you people, right? He said. Xiaohui glanced at them and replied coldly. There are 1.3 billion people in the country. How can you determine that they are my people? Brother Snake, are you trying to deny it? Thomas did not give up asking. Xiaohui was silent for a moment, then said, Brother, have you offended anyone recently? Thomas was puzzled. What do you mean? Xiaohui smiled slightly. Don't look at your young age. You have so many places and brothers, but you will never be able to fight against us. Black and white can never stand side by side. Thomas suddenly realized that Xiaohui had the power of the officialdom behind him, and he had no way to compete with him. Smashing a stall is not a big deal for Brother Snake. There is no need to make a fuss. Since you are Fatty San's friend, just solve it simply and reconcile. Brother will be a peacemaker for you. Xiaohui never thought that the person whose Secretary Zhao called a few days ago and asked him to make a small fuss would cause such a big trouble. Secretary Zhao has the district chief behind him. His club is booming, and the district chief has also expressed his opinion. The small stall smashing incident should have been a small matter, but he didn't expect it to involve so much trouble. Xiaohui was not afraid of Thomas. After all, he controlled the club and had an official background. Compared with his club, the boxing gym and billiard hall were nothing. But he was a businessman and always put profit first. It is better to resolve a feud than to create one. Thomas was young and energetic, and his background was not weak. If he could help him one day, it would be better to reconcile with him to avoid more conflicts in the future. That's great. Thomas responded with a smile. Sorry to bother Brother Snake. The people behind us can come out and talk. Let's work together. Maybe we can even be friends. Xiaohui raised his glass with a smile. Okay. The three fat brothers are really young heroes. Are you interested in coming to our club to get a position? The position of security captain is vacant. I will give you this much every month. He made a number 2 gesture, obviously intending to poach Thomas. Thomas smiled and refused. I'm not good enough. The security captain is a good help. He then asked, Brother Snake, is this a big club all yours? Xiaohui paused, then smiled and said, Yes, the store started small, and I invested several million. Brother Snake, I have another thing to do today. Lin Jishuan interrupted. Xiaohui raised an eyebrow. Oh, what's the matter? Lin Jishuan brought up the topic. My eldest brother has heard of Brother Snake's name for a long time and knows Brother Snake's business acumen. Let's talk about cooperation today. Xiaohui smiled and asked, How do you want to cooperate? Lin Jishuan continued, 5 million. I want to acquire 10% of Hui Yao's shares. He made a gesture to indicate the amount. Xiaohui jumped. Although 5 million was not a large sum, he was shocked that a young man could directly ask for such a large purchase amount. Do you know how much profit my store makes every month? You want to take 10% of 5 million. Do you think I'm a bank? Lin Jishuan responded calmly. This is an investment, and investment is also a form of financial management. 5 million is just a stepping stone. Once the door is opened, there will be many opportunities for cooperation. Opportunities for cooperation? Xiaohui was a little skeptical. Lin Jishuan hesitated for a moment. My boss didn't tell me the specific details of the cooperation, but he is very powerful, more powerful than you can imagine. Xiaohui sneered. It's just a kid's big talk. He glanced at Thomas and said, If your boss is really sincere, come and tell me in person. Lin Jiesun was a little embarrassed. He was a little anxious because he didn't expect that he would be asked to come in person to discuss the 5 million acquisition proposed by Johnson. Thomas stopped him and explained with a smile, Brother Snake, we are just passing on the message to let you know. My eldest brother will definitely come to discuss the matter in person. Thomas' words made Xiaohui feel apprehensive. After all, Fatty San was a well-known figure, and his words were credible. If the person behind him was really powerful, a small character, couldn't be too arrogant. The three of them continued to chat, as if the conflict had never happened. It was not until Xiaohui called a few girls that Thomas and Lin Jishuan got up and left. The next day, Thomas reported to Johnson yesterday's situation, including the club's staff size, traffic, and profit forecast. What do you think of Xiaohui? Johnson asked. Old fox, you know when to advance and when to retreat. You started small, and your abilities cannot be underestimated, Thomas said. Johnson nodded. I originally planned to buy Hui Yao directly, and if he refused, I would ask my brother to help. But I changed my mind. Thomas was stunned. Why did it change again? I think it's better to cooperate, Johnson said. Xiaohui is not a bad person. He just has a unique vision and values human relations. If we can cooperate and use it for my benefit, why not do it? Thomas was a little worried. Will he come back and bite you? Johnson smiled slightly. I hope he can bite me, but he doesn't dare, don't worry. Johnson thought for a moment and said, he wants me to talk in person. Let's make an appointment. I know who is behind him. There's no need to meet him. Tell Jia Hui not to be afraid of us. Dealing with him in the future will be like listening to a fart. After the training, the atmosphere on the court became a little tense. Johnson always felt that Li Wei looked at him with a strange look, with obvious provocation. When the new and old teams faced off, Li Wei deliberately made some small movements and even deliberately created conflicts. Johnson instinctively felt Li Wei's hostility towards him, but he tried to tolerate it at first, but he didn't expect Li Wei's actions to become more and more excessive. Ah Wei, aren't you making too many moves? Johnson couldn't help but remind him. Li Wei responded sarcastically. Senior, teach you how to play basketball. Learn how to use your body properly. It will be useful if you have more hand movements. However, Johnson was no longer willing to give in. When Li Wei was about to make a layup, he saw Johnson defending and rushed over with his elbows and knees raised, clearly intending to use his body to hit Johnson's face and lower body. Li Wei thought he could use his strength to gain the upper hand and disrupt Johnson's defense. But Johnson did not dodge. He crossed his hands in front of his lower body, ready for protection. The moment Li Wei touched him, Johnson pushed hard, his body swayed slightly, but he did not retreat. Li Wei seemed to hit a wall, lost his balance, and was pushed away by the powerful reaction force, flying backwards. Outsiders saw this scene and thought that Li Wei might have deliberately thrown himself out and suspected that he was knocked out. How could this happen? They were all puzzled, but Johnson knew that he only used a little force, and Li Wei did not use the force to rebound, which led to this result. Li Wei flipped several times in the air and finally landed steadily, but he still groaned in pain. It hurts. Johnson saw Li Wei's performance and immediately walked over and asked loudly, Senior, what's wrong? Are you okay? Li Wei was in so much pain that he couldn't speak but just coughed. Johnson was anxious on the surface, but secretly revealed a hint of pride. I didn't expect you to hit me and knock yourself away. If I knew you were in such poor health, I would have dodged you long ago. Couldn't help laughing when they heard what Johnson said. Johnson continued to comfort Li Wei while reaching out to help him up, cooperating with exaggerated movements, as if he had done something great. The classmates gathered around and shook their heads secretly when they saw Li Wei's painful appearance. Bai Yang couldn't help but frowned. How can he participate in the city competition in this physical condition? Sunny was also dissatisfied, thinking that Li Wei was injured because of Johnson's malicious foul. Johnson maliciously hit Li Wei and knocked him away. It was so dirty and affected the image of the #1 high school basketball team. We can't keep such a person. Liu Yuhao couldn't stand it anymore. He stood up suddenly and pointed at Sun He's nose. Are you blind? Li Wei bumped into Lao, who like an idiot, and you couldn't see it. The two men exchanged heated words, and the sound of the quarrel spread all over the court. Bai Yang quickly stopped Liu Yuhao and reminded him seriously, if you say bad words again, go back. Although Liu Yuhao stopped arguing, he still glared at Sun He. Johnson watched Li Wei's performance and knew that he was definitely pretending. Li Wei's sound of pain was fake, and the pain in his body was not enough to make him so painful. Sure enough, after Li Wei stood up, he said weakly, Teacher, he hit me, and he hit me very hard. I rolled twice. It was real, and I can't pretend. Li Wei's statement made Bai Yang suspicious. Although he had seen with his own eyes that Li Wei took the initiative to bump into Johnson, his embarrassed appearance at this time made Bai Yang hesitate. At this moment, Jessica's voice came over. Teacher, I recorded a video. How about watching it? It turned out that Jessica had come to watch Johnson's training during the break of the first class. She saw Li Wei bumping into Johnson and was dissatisfied, so she secretly took a video. She angrily handed the phone to Bai Yang. The video clearly showed that Li Wei had taken the initiative to rush towards Johnson, and Johnson's reaction was not a malicious foul. After watching the video, Bai Yang came to the conclusion that Li Wei's words were completely intended to shift the blame. Chapter 15 Backflip. At 6 p.m., the basketball team gathered at the stadium as required. The training content was quite tough, involving physical fitness, technology, confrontation, and cooperation, and they could not stop for a moment. For some reason, Johnson always felt that there was something wrong with the way Li Wei looked at him, always with a hint of teasing in it. When the new and old teams were competing against each other, Li Wei made a lot of small moves. Johnson noticed Li Wei's hostility towards him from the very beginning of the confrontation. and initially asked him to be more careful. Unexpectedly, Li Wei not only did not restrain himself, but became even more arrogant. "Ah Wei, aren't you making too many moves?" Johnson reminded. "The senior is teaching you how to play basketball. You should use your hands and body movements properly. Please learn well," Li Wei said sarcastically. When Li Wei was about to make a layup with the ball, he saw Johnson defending him. He immediately accelerated and jumped, raising his elbows and knees towards Johnson's face and crotch. Li Wei relied on his seniority to bully the new students. What if Johnson had good physical fitness? If he was a little more ruthless and stronger, it would be easy to make him unable to get out of bed for 3 or 5 days under this impact. In competitive sports, if you make an unintentional foul, you can just apologize and nothing will happen. If he won't give up, you can act like a green tea bitch, pretend to be pitiful and wronged, and let him be isolated by more people. Johnson now watched Li Wei jumping directly towards him. Although he didn't know how he had offended the other party, he was not someone to be trifled with after all, so he did not dodge. He clasped his hands together and placed them on his lower body to protect it. The moment Li Wei touched his body, he exerted force with his whole body. Johnson's body swayed slightly, but he didn't move back at all. On the contrary, when Li Wei hit Johnson, it was like hitting a stone wall. The powerful impact caused him to fly backwards. To outsiders, it seemed as if Li Wei flew out on purpose. Otherwise, how could he have taken the initiative to make a layup with all the momentum and the defense would not have any problem? How could he have flown so far by himself? In fact, this was because Johnson used an inch of force the moment Li Wei touched his body. To others, it seemed that Johnson was slightly shaken by Li Wei's collision, but in fact it was a state of sudden force. Although Li Wei had the strength to rush forward, he was in midair after all, without any leverage point, and was easily knocked away by Johnson. Li Wei turned 180 degrees with a beautiful backflip and landed steadily on the ground. "Oh, it hurts." Li Wei struggled to open his mouth that was kissing the ground, and a few intermittent groans of pain came out of his mouth. Johnson, who was an actor, immediately ran over and asked loudly, "Senior, what's wrong? Is there anything wrong?" Cough, cough. Li Wei was in so much pain that he couldn't speak. "Look at what you're saying. I didn't expect you could knock yourself away by hitting me. If I had known your health was so poor, I would have dodged it." Meh. Johnson said while beating his chest in coordination with the movements of his hands. Others also gathered around at this time. Johnson reached out to help Li Wei, and in the process of pulling Li Wei, he let everyone experience the process of slaughtering a pig. The sound of the pigs being slaughtered was almost the same as that of a pig being slaughtered. Bai Yang, who was standing beside him, shook his head secretly. How can he participate in the city competition in this physical condition? Sunny cursed in his heart. "Useless thing. I asked you to teach him a lesson, but why did he teach you a lesson? You are a useless piece of shit." "Teacher Bai, I think Johnson did it on purpose." Sunny spoke up. Johnson maliciously bumped into Li Wei and knocked him flying in midair. "This guy plays dirty. I suggest that we should not keep him on the team. He will affect the image of the #1 high school basketball team." "Are you blind?" The hot-tempered Liu Yuhao stood up and pointed his finger at Sun He's nose. "Are you blind?" Li Wei bumped into Lao Hu like a fool. "Can't you see? Did Lao Hu move? Who committed a flagrant foul? You decide who committed a flagrant foul." Sunny was pointed at by someone and was very angry. He pushed Liu Yuhao's hand away with force. "I only believe my eyes. Li Wei is so badly injured and lying on the ground, but Johnson is alive and well. If you say Johnson didn't do anything, I won't believe it even if you kill me." "Fuck you." Liu Yuhao cursed again. He is a wimp, and he has the nerve to criticize others. How can he still play basketball? Go home and play yo-yo. "You." Sunny blushed. "Liu Yuhao, can you speak?" Bai Yang said, "If I hear you say a dirty word again, get out of here and go back to the classroom." The teacher still has his authority. After Bai Yang spoke, Liu Yuhao stopped talking, but still looked at Sun He arrogantly. Johnson knew how much force he had used. Li Wei must have felt pain, but it wasn't so painful that he couldn't get up. The current situation could only mean that he was pretending. Why was he pretending? He must have been preparing to trick himself. Oh no, he couldn't trick himself. After all, it was Johnson who had used force to hit him. As expected, Li Wei, who had just been helped up, said in a weak voice, "Teacher, he hit me. It was a very strong hit. I rolled twice and couldn't pretend." Li Wei said a lot of things to prove that he was fouled. Originally, Bai Yang saw Li Wei fouling someone, but after hearing what Li Wei said, and seeing this embarrassing scene, he couldn't help but doubt whether he had seen it wrong. Student Johnson, did you hit anyone? If you did, just apologize. Bai Yang asked. If one of his teammates was really so ruthless, he would definitely not want him. No matter how capable he was, it would be useless if he had bad character. I didn't. There were so many people here, everyone saw it. I was hit. Who knows if he did something exhausting recently to be thrown so far. Then he went on to complain about his grievances in a teasing tone. Yes, I saw it. I saw that too. Li Wei was also confused. He was originally planning to attack Johnson. If Li Wei had not felt a strong force, he would have thought that he was weak. Not only did he fail to attack, but now the opponent took the initiative and he felt wronged. Teacher, this is a weak female voice coming from the sidelines. I just recorded a video. Do you want to take a look at it? The person who spoke was Jessica. It was during the break of the first shift. Jessica knew that Johnson was training here, so she came to see him. She couldn't move her legs when she saw Johnson playing, and she even took a video with her phone. Of course, it was only the area where Johnson was, and it had nothing to do with the training match. Johnson so fiercely, and now he is turning the tables on him. He was very angry and handed the phone to teacher Bai Yang. Chapter 16, Green Tea, Who? It has been 2 hours since the training started, and Johnson still hasn't seen Jessica coming. He didn't expect this little girl to be watching the game from the sidelines, and he didn't know how long she had been there. Jessica handed over with a half-believing look. On the phone screen, Jessica had carefully adjusted the scene before Li Wei's layup and adjusted it to 0.5 times the speed. Because of Jessica's selfishness, she took a close-up shot, which made the confrontation between the two people very clear. The rest of the people also gathered behind Bai Yang to watch the confrontation. Li Wei was very calm at this time. He knew that although his actions were a bit bad, he was sure that Johnson was worse than him. He was already a dog eating shit. It was impossible for Johnson to fly out by standing still. The video starts showing Li Wei dribbling the ball. Normally, he would try to shake off the defender when dribbling for a layup, but Li Wei ran straight towards Johnson. And when he jumped up, he raised his knees and elbows very obviously. Johnson stood still with his legs apart, just protecting his lower body. Looking at Li Wei again, after jumping up, he not only did not dodge, but also deliberately pushed his elbows and knees forward. His knee hit Johnson's hands that were protecting his lower body, and his elbow hit Johnson's head. Turning his head to take a closer look at Johnson's forehead, he indeed saw a faint red mark. Continuing to watch the video, after Li Wei pushed Johnson, he did not stop his momentum, but instead leaned his entire weight on Johnson. At this time, a change occurred. Johnson was not hit by Li Wei's momentum, but tried to stand up straight, without moving his hands, which were still placed below. Then Li Wei fell backwards, and he fell to the ground and rolled twice. Judging from the video, Johnson did not make any extra movements, nor did he exert any strength, but just withstood Li Wei's strength, while Li Wei lost his balance before landing and fell. This comparison not only shows the facts, but also proves Johnson's courage and physical fitness once again. Bai Yang likes Johnson more and more after comparing the two. Johnson was completely the victim. If there was no video, he would not know that he had just been treated so maliciously. Even so, Johnson's first reaction was to care whether his classmates were injured. On the other hand, Li Wei, the conflict maker, created the conflict and then maliciously framed others. His character is extremely bad. After watching the video, Bai Yang stared at Li Wei seriously. He is your teammate. How can you do this to your teammate? Even if you are playing against opponents from other schools, you can't do this. I always tell you that playing basketball is not fighting a war. Don't lose your ethics just for the sake of winning or losing. Teacher, I am. Seeing the fact, Li Wei wanted to keep silent and say that he did not mean to do it, and thought he fell because he was pushed maliciously. Unexpectedly, just after saying a few words and before expressing the main idea, Johnson interrupted. Brother Wei, isn't it because you just told me not to dream of getting into the main lineup that I ignored you? I think that as long as the strength is there, anyone can fight for the main lineup. I didn't expect you to react so strongly. Since you want to get into the main lineup so much, Mr. Bai Yang, don't consider me for the main small forward position. Leave it to Li Wei. This isn't like that. Although Li Wei thought so in his heart, he didn't say it out loud. How did Johnson guess it, and even said it out loud without saying it out loud? How could Johnson not know what Li Wei was thinking? It's easier than peeing than guessing it. I'm pointing it out to you directly now. No matter how you explain it, it's smelly and will make people feel sick. That's outrageous. Bai Yang scolded. Who will be selected as the main player is decided by the teacher after looking at the overall performance of the individual. You can't do it by playing tricks or maliciously targeting your teammates. I am so disappointed in you. Get out of my team now. That's not necessary, teacher. I just broke the rules and didn't have any other thoughts. Isn't it normal to commit fouls in basketball? How did it get to the point of being kicked out of the team? Li Wei defended himself. Students with bad ideas like you. Please let the teacher teach you again before you come out. My team doesn't need you. But teacher, Li Wei wanted to explain something, but was rudely interrupted by Bai Yang. Stop talking nonsense and go. Just kidding, Bai Yang had also heard about Johnson's deeds. Why was Johnson transferred from Class 1 to Class 8? According to teacher James' feedback to Bai Yang, it was because a student's parent donated a multifunctional sports stadium to the school, but this news was very secret. Because Bai Yang was the head teacher of the sports group, James mentioned it very obscurely before, allowing Bai Yang to guess from clues that the donor was Johnson's parents. Bai Yang was so happy when he heard the news that he woke up from sleep. How could he just sit there and watch his sponsor being bullied like this? Fortunately, Johnson was fine. If he had been hit, his family would have been so angry that they would not build the gymnasium. Where would he go to seek justice? Li Wei is such a person. How dare he ask for a starting position? Bai Yang had already decided on the starting small forward, so he took this opportunity to make it known. I'll take this opportunity to announce that I have already decided on one of the starting players, Johnson. His performance over the past 2 days is obvious to all. The others need to work harder. Hearing this announcement, while everyone else was congratulating Johnson, Sun He's heart sank. Without the main players, it meant that his chances of playing as the acting captain would be halved. How could he pick up girls in such a shameful situation? He had to find a way to kill Johnson's spirit. In fact, if Sunny thinks about it carefully, he will know that, with his own strength, even if he is not a main player, his playing time will not be short. It is because he was bewitched by the villain that his jealousy was infinitely magnified. Because of the practice, Johnson was late after the game. So he looked at the time and decided to stay a little longer, sent a text message, and continued playing on the court with Thomas. It was not until a girl appeared on the sidelines that Johnson called a few people to leave together. It was still summer, and the weather was quite hot. After exercising for several hours, they were all sweating profusely. Jessica didn't care about the sweat on Johnson's body at all, and handed him a bottle of room-temperature mineral water that she had prepared long ago. Thank you. Johnson took the water and gulped down a few mouthfuls. Then he asked, "Why did you suddenly think of watching our practice this evening?" Jessica lowered her head and whispered, "I just haven't seen you for a few days. I wanted to come and see you today. There's nothing else." The evening breeze brings a hint of coolness to the air in this sultry summer. Chapter 17, Zoku's two-way attack. Zoku had been very quiet these past few days, but after hearing about Jessica's stall being smashed, Zoku knew that it was Brother Snake who had stepped in, and within a few days he would let these people know that they had offended someone they shouldn't have. First, I'll deal with Jessica's family, and then Johnson and his men. I remember there was a man named Thomas next to Johnson, with tattoos all over his chest and back. Although they were well hidden, I still found them. In addition, the bald guy said before that Thomas was the boss of his boss, so he must be a gangster. What's the point of being good at mixing? No matter how good you are, can you wrestle with the government? Then find someone to check the entertainment venues where they hang out all year round, make something out of it, and send them to jail for 2 days. When they can't stand the daily harassment anymore, they will come out by themselves, and then they will beg me on their knees, and I will let Jessica be my bitch every night. If you want to play with me, I will play you to death. Although Jessica has changed her seat, Zoku can still see her at a glance. During this period of time, Zoku would stare at Jessica from behind every day. The more he looked at her, the more he liked her. The more he liked her, the more he fantasized about the days of being with Jessica in the future. He even wanted to change his strategy. When he attacked Jessica's family recently, he also came to the rescue again to change Jessica's opinion of him. Thinking back to the past few days, Jiahui had not gone to Jessica's house to look for things, always making excuses. Secretary Zhao was quite busy and would not help to watch over her all the time. He would go there in person later to see what was going on, but he could not sit idle now. So he had to launch an attack and take the initiative to pursue her. Classmate Jessica. After class, Zoku walked to Jessica's seat and called her. "Can I have the honor of having a meal with you on Sunday?" Jessica looked up and saw Zoku, who had a conflict with Johnson before. She smiled and said, "Sorry, I have something to do on Sunday, so it's not convenient." Zoku's heart melted when he saw the smile and voice, and he quickly asked, "What about next Sunday?" "Next Sunday is also fine." Jessica frowned slightly and said, "I'm sorry, it's not convenient for me to eat alone with a boy." Zoku could hear the refusal in Jessica's words, but he had expected it and was not angry. It's like this, Jessica. I know your mother is in the seasoning business, and my family happens to know several purchasing staff from restaurants, all of which are large-scale restaurants. Zoku saw Jessica's somewhat moved eyes, smiled secretly in his heart, and continued, I don't mean anything else. It's just because my aunt is in the seasoning business. I also know someone, and we are classmates, so I want to ask you out for dinner on Sunday and chat with the buyers together. Seeing that Jessica was still hesitating, Zoku immediately said, classmates help each other. After all, we have the ability to do this. Let's help each other. Well, okay. Jessica agreed reluctantly. After all, her mother worked very hard selling condiments, and now that there was a chance, she wanted to help make the contact. Then it's settled. Let's meet at Malu Private Kitchen at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Actually, it would be best to meet at Jia Hui's club. Maybe something would happen after some drinks, but a girl like this shouldn't be too open for the first time. So they decided to meet at a slightly more upscale private restaurant. The first time you invite someone to dinner, you should be a little more formal at a high-end private restaurant, which is neither exaggerated nor exaggerated, but can highlight your strength. Don't be impatient when chasing girls, especially girls who have already had a bad impression of you. If you still can't get rid of them like a sticky candy, it will only make girls more and more disgusted. Zoku is very experienced in this kind of thing. He would first simply become friends with the girl, then unintentionally show off his wealth in daily life, and demonstrate his energy by helping the other party solve some problems that he could not solve. He would first build up her favorability and admiration, then erode her step by step, and finally let her know that she cannot live without him. Johnson was not idle either. After school, he called Thomas and Lin Jishuan to go to Hui Yao Entertainment Club. Because they were wearing school uniforms and carrying school bags, they were stopped by the security guards at the door. Thomas called Jia Hui before letting them in. Jia Hui was already waiting in the private room upstairs. This time it was very peaceful. There were no security guards blocking the way. Several people were led all the way to the private room smoothly. When Jia Hui saw someone enter the room, he immediately stood up to greet them. However, he saw that in addition to Thomas and Lin Jishuan, there was also a high school student in school uniform. He did not see anyone who looked like an elder brother, so he could not help but ask, Fat third brother, Brother Lin, where is your elder brother? Thomas patted Johnson on the shoulder and introduced him. Brother Snake, let me introduce you. This is my boss, Johnson. Then he introduced Johnson. This is the boss of Hui Yao Entertainment, Jia Hui. Brothers in the underworld call me Brother Snake. Johnson smiled and held out his hand. Hello, Brother Snake. Seeing is believing. I have heard of your great name for a long time. Jia Hui half believed and half doubted and stretched out his hand to shake hands with Johnson. I really didn't expect that the eldest brother of the three fat brothers was actually an unknown high school student. It's really like the younger generation is pushing the older generation forward. Jia Hui's fault that he didn't know Johnson. Thomas was the one who settled all the previous matters, and Johnson was rarely used, so people in the underworld had rarely heard of the word Johnson. Please take a seat. Jia Hui asked them to sit down. Brother who? I heard that you want to discuss cooperation with me. Last time, Brother Lin gave me a brief talk and painted a cake that was impossible to eat. I didn't know how to swallow it. Lin Jishuan's cheeks flushed as he listened nearby, and he could only glance at Johnson's attitude from the side. I originally wanted to ask his boss to talk in detail this time, but I didn't expect that he is still a student. How about asking your parents to come over? Johnson spoke up. Brother Snake, do you think less of me? Jia Hui curled his lips and said, how can you cooperate with me as a student? Do you have money? Do you have power? How about this, Brother Snake? Let me first tell you about the content of the cooperation. Johnson did not directly answer Jia Hui's question. Jia Hui didn't say anything, but spread his hands and motioned for Johnson to speak first. Johnson took out a check from his pocket and then took a contract from Lin Jishuan. He put the check on the table and pushed it to Jia Hui. This is a check for 5 million. Last time, Lin Jishuan negotiated with you to buy 10% of your shares for 5 million. I wonder what Brother Snake thinks. Chapter 18 Planning. Jia Hui looked at the check for 5 million and felt a trace of doubt, but he did not take it. Anyone who saw a child taking out a check for 5 million would not believe it and would think that the money must have come from his family or was stolen. What are you doing? Jia Hui asked tentatively. Johnson leaned back on the sofa and said, don't worry, Brother Snake. This check is from my family. It's very clean. Just take it with confidence. Do you really want to use 5 million to buy 10% of my shares? 5 million for 10%. Do you think I'm sincere? Johnson laughed. Take a look at the share transfer agreement first. Johnson said and handed the transfer contract to Jiahui. Jiahui took the contract and read it for a while and felt that there was nothing wrong with it, so he threw it on the table. But he still didn't understand that although his club was very profitable, it was not worth spending $5 million to buy only 10%, which would result in a slight loss in the short term. Lin Jishuan has already told you before that $5 million is just a stepping stone. I want to cooperate with you and do big business together. Johnson said lightly. Say it all at once. Jiahui said, you know that Shanghai is a coastal city with clean water and sunsets. After the epidemic is over, the government will vigorously develop the tourism industry and build Shanghai into a tourist city. The government has set aside a piece of land on the beach to build a resort, said Johnson. I know about this, but does it have anything to do with what we want to talk about? Jiahui asked. I got that piece of land. The $5 million was just to let Jiahui see his financial strength. Otherwise, if he just said that he got a piece of land, he would be kicked out. Jiahui was shocked by this. Looking at Johnson's expression, he clearly thought it was a trivial matter. Just you? Brother, you can't say anything. Be careful not to get caught off guard. I've also heard about who took the land. Brother Snake, you still don't think highly of me. Johnson asked. Brother Snake, do you know who took the land? Of course it was the international group. How could it be me? Jiahui said. This matter was a hot topic at the time. The international group spent hundreds of millions to obtain the right to use the land by the sea. Do you know the name of the president of Marriott Group? Johnson asked again. Johnson in shock. Just now they said your name is Johnson? What is your relationship with Hu Jinyu? You don't need to know the specifics of our relationship. You just need to know that we know each other and are very familiar with each other. Johnson said, don't worry about who gets the land. Just know that it is in my hands now. He then showed Jiahui a copy of the land-related contract documents, which dispelled Jiahui's doubts. That can't be wrong. Looking at this person's condition, and the fact that he has the same surname, he must be related to Hu Jinyu. He might even be his biological son. Even if he is a distant relative, he is still a person of considerable background. When Johnson knew about the resort, he just thought that with the support of the government and the recent end of the epidemic, the tourism industry would definitely boom. In addition, the beautiful environment of Shanghai was worth investing in. He persuaded his father for a long time before he agreed to let his father take over the land. Of course, the operation can be handed over to Johnson with the assistance of Secretary Wang, but Johnson will not get a penny of any profit. Brother Hu, why did you think of cooperating with me for such a big business? Jiahui had unknowingly put away his contempt. There's no other reason. We're just doing a small business now, opening some billiard halls and casinos, which is boring. Suddenly, I want to go bigger. He said secretly in his heart, and the profit money doesn't belong to me. Now I have invested in a billiard hall for a Bayo. If I have more and more followers in the future, how can I support them? So, how do you want to cooperate? Jiahui didn't realize that he had started using honorifics in his words. I have obtained the land for the resort, but I haven't found a place to build it yet. And I don't have any professional people at the moment. But Brother Snake has been in Shanghai for so long, and he must know some people in both the black and white worlds, business and political circles, so I'll have to trouble Brother Snake for help with the subsequent operations, said Johnson. I'm afraid I don't have the ability to invest. The plate is too big for me to eat. Although Jiahui was excited, he knew his own limitations. If he were asked to invest in an entertainment club now, it would be no problem. But he really didn't have the courage to invest in such a large resort. How many can you throw in? Johnson asked. Jiahui gritted his teeth and said, 10 million, that's my limit. No. Johnson gritted his teeth. It's 15 million. Don't forget that I still have 5 million for you. By the way, I will inject 20 million in funds in the early stage. 35 million. Jiahui thought for a moment. 35 million may not be enough for a resort of nearly 1,000 acres. It's definitely not enough, but it's not too far off either, Johnson said. We can build resorts in stages and get them up and running first. At the same time, we can build shopping malls, night markets, and other supporting facilities in a few places to attract businesses to move in. I still don't understand why me. There are so many prominent figures in Shanghai City, and I am just an unknown little person. Jiahui asked again. Yes, you're a little-known person, easy for me to control. And you are rich and capable. Johnson was not polite at all. Jiahui is a wise man. He knows that it is most important to have good control. After a simple calculation in his mind, he knew that he would make a profit. But there is another important thing that Jiahui is worried about. That is, the area where the resort is located is under the management of Zoku's father, Zhou Dehai, the district head of Zhangqian district. If he knows that he is working with Johnson and makes things difficult for him, then the money invested will be easily wasted. Mr. Hu, do you know that you have offended a figure in official circles recently? Is that right? Xiaohui asked tentatively in a low voice. Zhou right? Johnson asked. Xiaohui asked in surprise. Do you know everything? Oh, you can figure it out even if you use your ass to think. Johnson comforted Xiaohui. Don't be afraid. I've already acquired the land. This project is the most important investment attraction for Yinghai City this year. They dare not do anything. And the personal revenge of officials below the provincial level is not acceptable to me. But Johnson changed the subject and said, since District Chief Zhou and I have a conflict, you should stop playing both sides. Of course, of course. This statement was so clear. He had someone above him. Those below the provincial level were not important enough. What was a small district chief? He had to draw a clear line. He had completely forgotten that he had lent Zhou Ku a few people so that Zhou Ku could contact them directly. Waiter. Xiaohui signed a share transfer contract, collected the invoice, and shouted, bring my treasured XO here. I'm not going to leave until I'm drunk with my brother Hu today. Xiaohui is trying to claim to be a relative. He took me to such a big project and asked me to call him dad. It really shows that you can't judge a person by his appearance. Xiaohui picked up the wine glass and said, brother, I'm a few years older than you, so I call you my younger brother. We didn't know each other until we fought. I was wrong about what happened before, so I apologize to you. I'll drink this glass. After drinking a glass of wine, Xiaohui immediately filled another glass for himself. This second glass of wine is to thank my brother for giving me such a great opportunity. If you have any problems in the future, come to me directly. I wish our cooperation will be smooth. The cooperation goes smoothly. Johnson and his friends smiled and drank the wine. Chapter 19 City Basketball Game begins. The basketball team had nothing to do these days. Except for the normal training, everything was calm. Because of Lu Wei, Sunny did not dare to show his sword. Baiyang actually did not care about Lu Wei's departure. There were many people in the small forward position, so he did not feel any burden in his heart to fire Lu Wei. Every day at 8 o'clock when Johnson finished training, Jessica would come over with a few bottles of water. Knowing that Jessica's family was not rich, a few bottles of mineral water every day would add up to a not small expense. Several people also knew that Jessica came over because of Johnson, so Thomas and others would bring a bottle of water by themselves. After a long time, Jessica only brought water for Johnson. Johnson finished training that night. Jessica handed him a bottle of water and said, there's something I wanted to ask you a few days ago. Zoku asked me to discuss business on Sunday. Do you think I should go? Johnson took a big sip of water and asked, what business does Zoku want to discuss with you? He said that some hotel purchases could be made for my mom on a long-term basis, giving our family more sales channels, and asked me to go and talk to her about it, Jessica explained. He's willing to spend money. Johnson laughed sarcastically. He smashed other people's stalls while helping them, playing both the good cop and the bad cop roles. 666. You can't say that, Jessica gently defended. Zoku is a nice guy except that he's a little annoying. I think he just wants to help me. I heard that Zoku's pursuit of you has been very aggressive recently. Don't be corrupted by the enemy's sugar-coated bullets. Zoku is not as simple as he seems. Johnson felt that there was something wrong with Jessica's idea, and he wanted to nip her idea in the bud. Of course, Johnson didn't tell Jessica what Zoku had done. After all, Yang's mother didn't let Jessica know that her stall was smashed, which made Jessica worry in vain. So Johnson could only indirectly point out Zoku's character. Okay, so should I still go? Jessica asked. It's up to you. Go back and discuss it with Annie. If you were sure to cooperate, please take a good look at the contract. Johnson said. In fact, if Johnson wanted to, he could ask Secretary Wang to find some connections. If Secretary Wang made the contact, there would be plenty of opportunities for cooperation. But Johnson thinks there is no need for that. As long as his friends are sincere to him, he will not make things difficult for them in the future. And if they help with everything now, how can they improve themselves? Well, I'll go back and talk to my mom about this, and we'll go together on Sunday. Do you want to go with me? Jessica asked. No, there's a basketball game on Sunday. I'm in the second game this afternoon, and it should be over by 5 p.m. Johnson recently felt that Jessica was more than just dependent on him, a feeling he couldn't explain, but he only felt that way about Jessica, like a brother does to his sister, and he didn't have many other thoughts, so he would more or less deliberately distance himself from her. And Sunday happened to be the first day of the college basketball league. The high schools in Yinghai City are divided into 6, namely number 1 high school, number 2 high school, number 3 high school, number 4 vocational high school, Yin'an experimental high school, and Yutsai high school. The rules are the same as in previous years, using a single round-robin format. Each school has to compete with the other 5 schools separately. The competition venue is the Municipal Gymnasium. Starting from Sunday, there will be 3 games a day on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and the competition will be completed in 5 days, with 1 game in the morning and 2 games in the afternoon. The winner of each game will get 2 points, and the loser will get 1 point. The 2 schools with the highest points in the city will participate in the provincial competition. That's a perfect time. We'll meet at Maliu Private Kitchen at 6 o'clock. Jessica didn't detect the alienation in Johnson's words and said happily, "Then I won't let my mom accompany me. I'll go watch you play basketball that day, and then we'll go together after the game. It's a deal." After saying that, Jessica trotted back to the classroom without waiting for Johnson to refuse. Soon it was Sunday, and Bai Yang had already decided on the starting lineup. Power forward Liu Yuhao, small forward Johnson, center Zhang Ziqiang, point guard Yang Zhongnan, and shooting guard Thomas. Sonny ultimately failed to get a starting position, which made him feel embarrassed, as if all eyes in the audience were focused on him like a knife. In fact, no one cared about him at all. On the first day, Yutsai High School played against Yin'an High School in the morning, and number 3 High School played against number 4 High School in the afternoon, and number 1 High School played against number 2 High School. Number 4 High School is a vocational high school, and most of its students are sports students, students with special talents, and vocational and technical students. They usually spend their study time on sports, so number 4 High School is the strongest and has always ranked first in the city. Yutsai High School has always ranked second in the city. As expected, Yutsai High School and number 4 High School easily defeated their opponents in the morning. But the match of number 1 High School was something no one expected. Number 1 High School was the weakest team among the high schools in Yinghai City and was not taken seriously by any team. But unexpectedly, this old and weak team got off to a good start, defeating number 2 High School by a score of 92-70. After the game started, Zhang Ziqiang failed to jump the ball, and Igao did not get the ball but was taken by the opponent. The opponent's point guard took the ball to the 3-point line and met Thomas's defense. After seeing Thomas, I laughed so hard that I almost vomited the overnight meal. I thought, do you think that a large cross-sectional area can stop the offensive? The opponent's point guard dribbled the ball in a different direction, but Thomas took a step in the same direction without panic and blocked the path. The point guard felt something was interesting for the first time, and he dribbled with his back to the basket and faked a breakthrough, but at the same time Yang Zhongnan came over in time to make up for the defense and stole the ball before it hit the ground. After getting the ball, Johnson ran to the other side's basket quickly. The 2 tall players also returned to defend at the same time. Yang Zhongnan was not tall but very fast, but Johnson was even faster and ran to the other side's basket first. Yang Zhongnan saw the right time and threw the ball to the basket just after passing the 3-point line. Johnson jumped deep and caught the ball steadily and scored a dunk in the air. Beautiful. Bai Yang clenched his fist and shouted excitedly. How many small forwards in the current high school league can do an aerial relay? Johnson is the only one. The match between number 1 High School and number 2 High School initially attracted little attention, and no other high school players came to watch, but coaches from other schools still came back to watch. When the coaches from various schools saw Johnson's aerial relay, they were also shocked, and they also praised Yang Zhongnan's ball handling ability. Then Thomas' outside scoring ability and Liu Yuhao's rebounding and blocking ability also made the coaches of various schools amazed. Although Ergeo was not a strong team, it was considered a middle-class team in Yinghai City. I didn't expect that they would be beaten by a veteran-weak team. Chapter 20 Encounter. The victory of number 1 High School had to sound the alarm for coaches of various schools, mainly because the first game was won too easily, and 5 players who were not favored won the game easily, especially the good-looking Thomas, who took 10 shots from outside, scored 10 times, and scored 30 points. Johnson had 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks, and Liu Yuhao also got a double-double. After the game, the coaches from each school couldn't wait to return to their own schools to study the game between number 1 High School and number 2 High School. When the number 1 High School team left the gymnasium, it was exactly 5 p.m. There were an unusually large number of people leaving the gymnasium, and when the athletes left, they found that a group of people had put up banners outside the gymnasium, holding the banners and shouting and jumping. Everyone who had just come out was startled, especially Johnson and a few others. They were so scared that they retreated back into the venue, thinking that it was their enemies who came to cause trouble. But then they thought that was not right because there was no way an enemy would come to their house with a light sign to cause trouble. Just as I was about to go out again, I found that there were already security personnel maintaining order on the road. A girl wrapped tightly in a layer of clothes appeared from the venue. With the appearance of the girl, the crowd at the door became excited, and men and women shouted in unison, "Wang Ziki, I love you." One of them was an old man, almost 60 years old, who was almost convulsed when he shouted, "Wang Ziki, I want to raise a child for you." Johnson asked the security guard who was maintaining order and found out that actress Wang Ziki came to Shanghai today and secretly played tennis with a friend in the gymnasium. Someone saw them and leaked the news, causing fans to come over spontaneously to catch a glimpse of their idol. Wang Ziki debuted as a child star and made her debut in the sitcom A Rich Girl in the Family when she was a child. She became famous for playing the role of the rich girl Xiaobing. From the national daughter to the pure goddess now, she has taken one step at a time and has an audience group of all ages. This means that as long as her travel whereabouts are discovered, she will soon be surrounded by a large number of fans. Looking at the chaos at the entrance of the gymnasium, Johnson took a tactical step back and said, "I'm going to look for Jessica later. I won't take the bus with you from the main entrance. I'll leave from the back door." Jessica called Johnson today. Because of some things, she couldn't come to watch him play, but she repeatedly told him to come to her in the evening to discuss the seasoning cooperation. Johnson, because they had to go back to school to review today's game. Johnson did not need to review and was worried about Jessica, so he went on his own. Johnson came to the back door of the gym alone. Normally, there would be a lot of people coming to the gym to exercise on Sundays, but everyone coming in and out was attracted by the hustle and bustle at the main entrance, so there were relatively few people at the back door. After going out, Johnson hailed a taxi and sat in the back seat. Before he could close the door, a petite figure suddenly squeezed in and pushed Johnson to the other side of the seat, even squeezing the cushion away. "Master, drive quickly." The girl got in the car, closed the door, and said to the driver. The driver asked with a puzzled look on his face, "Where are you going?" Looking at the reporters holding cameras rushing towards the taxi, the girl said anxiously, "Whatever, just drive first. Let's go to Maliu private kitchen." Johnson spoke at this time. "Okay." The driver stepped on the accelerator, and the car sped away. Looking at the girl getting on the bus, wearing big black sunglasses and a black mask, Johnson asked, "Are you Wang Ziki?" The girl took off her glasses and asked curiously, "Hey, are you also my fan? Have you already chased me into the taxi?" Johnson was speechless. "Sister, first of all, I got on the car first. You chased me, okay? Secondly, I'm not your fan. I don't even know you. But based on your outfit and those 3 people with cameras and what happened in the stadium, I guess you were Wang Ziki." "I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know you." Wang Ziki didn't hear anything else but heard this sentence. "I don't know you. Are you kidding me? You don't even recognize me, and you don't watch TV." Wang Ziki scolded. "Oh, are you Wang Ziki?" The driver saw Wang Ziki's face in the rearview mirror. "My daughter likes you very much. I didn't expect that I could pick up a big star today. When I go back and tell my daughter, she won't believe it." Wang Ziki just remembered that there were 3 people in the car and immediately pretended to be quiet and gentle. "Hello, master. I am Wang Ziki. Thank you for your family's love. I will sign an autograph for you when we get off the car later." Okay. This star is really close to the people," the driver said happily. "That Miss Wang." Johnson called her. "Miss Wang, I'm still Zilong New. If you have something to say, just say it," Wang Ziki said in a low voice. "Miss, the person chasing you is gone. Do you think you can get out of the car now?" "I have something else to do," Johnson explained. This made Wang Ziki very angry. "I am now a popular actress. Many people wanted to talk to me and take photos with me, but they didn't have a chance. Why are you so impatient with me? Am I aging prematurely?" Wang Ziki was a little unconfident. "Little brother, what's your name?" Wang Ziki wanted to tease the boy. "It's none of your business. You don't need to know," Johnson said. "Hey." Wang Ziki wanted to pinch Johnson's cheek, but Johnson dodged it easily. "You have a unique personality. Little brother, do you want to leave me your phone number?" "Little brother." Johnson wanted him to stay away from him now. This kind of troublesome things bother people, so he must stay away from him, otherwise he will get into trouble. This kind of self-familiar person is really not easy to mess with. Just when Johnson was at a loss, the driver saved Johnson's life. Malu Private Kitchen is here. The driver parked the car on the side of the road. After Johnson saw the amount on the meter, he swiped the amount, got out of the car immediately, closed the door, leaving Wang Ziki alone in the car, and then quickly went into the restaurant. Wang Ziki looked at Johnson's leaving figure and smiled. This little brother is quite interesting. The trouble of being intercepted and exposed was swept away. He took out his phone and dialed a number. "Hello, Sister Lon. Have you broken through the siege of my fans?" Fortunately, you helped me attract firepower, otherwise I would definitely not be able to leave today. Okay, I'm going back to the hotel first. You can just go to the hotel to find me later. Bye. After putting down the phone, he said to the driver, Master, let's go to Hongyan Hotel. I'll pay for the fare. Okay. Today's female stars are not only good-looking, but also kind-hearted. If you don't succeed, who will? The driver responded happily. Chapter 21, Another Smash. It was only 5:30 when Johnson arrived at the restaurant, but Zoku, Jessica, Yang's mother, and several of the restaurant's buyers had been in the box for a while. After Johnson came in, Jessica pulled him to sit next to her. Everyone, this is my classmate Johnson. He's here to help. Jessica introduced. Johnson, these are the purchasing managers that Zoku introduced to me. Hello, Johnson said politely. Several purchasing staff did not respond, but asked Yang's mother, Ms. Yang, we are here to discuss business after all. Why are you bringing your family with you? Are you here for a party? Jessica, a reproachful look, as if blaming her for letting an outsider like Johnson into such an occasion. Johnson saw that the atmosphere was a bit awkward, so he took the initiative to speak up to help. I'm really sorry, but I learned about what happened today from Jessica, and I wanted to broaden my horizons and see how business is negotiated. What if I do business in the future? Zoku frowned when he saw Johnson come in, but when he saw that he was ridiculed as soon as he sat down, he couldn't help but smile. Jessica was not good at speaking, and she didn't know what to say when she saw Johnson being ridiculed. Zoku saw Jessica's entanglement, and it was time for her to show off. Uncle Lu, Uncle Zhao, Uncle Wang, we are all classmates. He has never seen the world, so he came to see. Let him listen from the side. Don't let him affect our conversation. Yes, yes. Yang's mother immediately picked up the wine glass. Children like to join in the fun. Please don't mind. Fortunately, with your help, especially Zoku's help, we were able to avoid trouble today. Thank you. I'll toast to everyone. As she spoke, she drank the small cup of white wine in her hand. Seeing this, the other people also raised their own glasses of wine or drinks, said nothing more, and joined in the drinking. Johnson heard this and asked Jessica quietly, What happened just now? What did these people do for Annie? Jessica also whispered to Johnson, It's thanks to Zoku that we're here today. You're here too. Someone came to cause trouble for my mom a few days ago. Why didn't you tell me? You know everything? Johnson raised an eyebrow. Yeah, if it weren't for what happened today, I would still be kept in the dark. Jessica then told Johnson about what happened today. In the afternoon, Jessica wanted to go to the stadium to watch Johnson's game, but Zoku called him temporarily and said that 3 buyers wanted to go to Yang's mother's stall first to see the scale and quality of the goods. After all, if the 3 people suddenly changed suppliers, they would also have to do some simple inspections. Jessica didn't suspect anything and made an appointment at the entrance of the market. Several buyers were all pot-bellied, and when they saw Jessica coming, they all smiled with malicious intent. This must be Miss Yang. She is indeed beautiful and intelligent. One of the middle-aged men, whose surname was Zhao, held Jessica's hand with one hand and patted Jessica's hand with the other hand, with a smirk on his face. Jessica frowned slightly and pulled her hand out with a little force, and hurriedly said, Thank you for your hard work, uncles. My stall is just in front, and my mother is waiting. Come with me. Then he asked Zoku to take a few people with him. At this time, Zoku took out his mobile phone and sent a message without leaving any trace. Then he took a few people to follow Jessica's footsteps. When I was still some distance away from the stall, I heard chaos and shouting ahead, accompanied by the sound of things being smashed. A few people knew something was wrong and hurriedly quickened their pace. As expected, when they got closer, they found that it was 4 hooligans who came to Jessica's stall and smashed the stall. Yang's mother couldn't stop it alone and kept begging and anxious. The customer shopping around didn't dare to step forward to stop it. Stop it. Jessica stepped forward to stop the thugs from smashing the stall. Who are you? I've called the police. Stop it. Jessica was no match for the thugs, who didn't care and continued to smash the stall. Stop. Zoku came out and shouted at the right time, which did temporarily scare the gangsters. Several hooligans stopped what they were doing and said, Where did you come from? I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with you. Get out of here. Otherwise, I'll pin you to the ground and beat you up. I'm standing here. Let me see how you pin me to the ground and beat me. Zoku said without avoiding or retreating. Jessica seemed to see a righteous spirit in him. You're so shameless, the gangster said as he walked over and raised his hand to slap Zoku in the face. When the other party's palm was about to fall, Zoku grabbed the other party's wrist instead and slapped the other party with his other hand, beating the gangster hard and making him spin around. Another gangster saw this and rushed towards Zoku. Zoku was not in a hurry. When the gangster was about to get close to him, Zoku raised his foot and kicked him in the abdomen. The gangster held his stomach in pain and couldn't get up. The other two saw that the trick was difficult, so they didn't dare to attack easily. They helped their companions up and threatened Zoku from a distance. "Little brat, where are you from? I tell you not to meddle in other people's business. My eldest brother is Scar." In fact, these four gangsters were found by Zoku. They were the people Jia Hui had lent to Zoku before. Zoku had exchanged WeChat accounts with the four people and then contacted the four people directly, causing Jia Hui to forget about lent them. The roles of these four people today are very simple, which is to cooperate with Zoku to play the hero and save the beauty, and increase Jessica's favorability towards Zoku. The performance fee and medical expenses have been paid, and even the mental damage compensation for being detained by the police for provoking trouble has been provided. For the effect of the performance, today's movements and coordination with Zoku are real, so it is so realistic. "Scar, are you that powerful?" Zoku pretended to be disdainful. "Go back and tell Scar that I, Zoku, will be in charge of this stall. No matter who has any conflicts and wants to touch this stall, they have to go through me first." Several hooligans pretended to be surprised. "Are you Brother Zoku?" "Oh, you know me?" Zoku pretended to be surprised. "Of course not." The gangster nodded and replied, "There are a few people in this area who don't know Brother Zhou. It's our fault that we didn't recognize you. I'll go back and tell Brother Scar that this is your place of protection and I won't come here again." "Okay, since you all know me, then I'm one of us. Leave some money for the losses here and go." Of course, of course." The gangsters left a few $100s and then fled from the crowd in panic. Of course, the money was also provided by Zoku in advance. The market security finally arrived after the person ran away. Afterwards, the late security was scolded by Lin Jiesun. Of course, this is all a story for later. Chapter 22, I'm Leaving First. Jessica was born into a single-parent family and had a low self-esteem. Her family was also poor, which made her quiet and reluctant to talk to others since she was a child, which led to her being bullied frequently. When she was isolated and excluded, Johnson stood up for her and helped herself and her mother a lot. This gave her lonely heart a sense of support, which made her fall in love with Johnson. Now when she was in trouble, except for Johnson, Zoku stood in front of Jessica from beginning to end. Looking at Zoku's back, Jessica was indeed touched. But what she didn't know was that matters like this that required intervention had always been settled by Johnson before, and she didn't know that this incident was a farce directed and acted by Zoku himself. Zoku went over to help the mother and daughter up and stuffed the money left by the gangster into Yang's mother's hands. "Auntie, are you okay?" The voice was as gentle as it could be. It's okay, it's okay. Thank you, young man. We are lucky to have you." Mother Yang stood up with difficulty and patted the dirt off her body. "I'm glad you're okay. This little thing isn't worth mentioning," Zoku said as he helped Yang's mother pick up the tilted chair. "I think they seem to be very afraid of you?" asked Yang's mother. "That's right." One of the middle-aged buyers immediately introduced Zoku. Zoku's father is the district chief of Zhanshan district. Zoku usually hates evil and hates evil. Don't worry, with his father's background, these ignorant hooligans won't come to make trouble again. These words are not suitable for Zoku to say himself. So when he uses someone else's mouth to say them, the effect is much better than saying them himself. At least it won't sound like he is bragging to himself. When Yang's mother heard that he was the son of the district chief, she quickly took the things in Zoku's hand and invited him to sit on the stool. After hearing Zoku's identity, Jessica couldn't help but look at him twice. She only knew that he had a little background before, but she didn't expect that he was also an official family. Last time I heard that someone was causing trouble for Aunt Yang, I should have checked it out at that time. I didn't expect that Aunt Yang would be in trouble again. Zoku said with a sigh. "What? Mom? Has someone come to cause trouble before?" Jessica didn't ask Zoku how he knew about this, but was concerned about the situation last time. "It's okay," Yang's mother said. "I don't know who I offended. A few days ago, a few people came and smashed the stall, but Xiaolin and Xiaohu took care of it." "What? Lin Jishuan and Johnson knew about this? Then why didn't they tell me?" Jessica asked. Yang's mother replied, "I told them not to tell you. You said you were busy with your studies, so I didn't want to tell you. Besides, didn't Zoku help solve the problem this time?" Jessica glanced at Zoku and said, "Thank you so much today. Otherwise, I don't know how many times my mother would be in trouble, and I don't know who has a grudge against our family. Well, Zoku waved his hands. We are all classmates. It would be awkward to say thank you. But I seem to have heard that it was because Johnson and Thomas and a few others were causing trouble outside, and someone reached out to his friends in revenge. I don't know if it is related to this matter. Jessica knew that Johnson and Thomas were indeed not very honest outside, but they never told her what they did, so what Zoku said was very likely true. The change of classes at the beginning of the school term had already made her mother somewhat prejudiced against Johnson. In order to prevent her mother from deepening her prejudice, Jessica quickly changed the subject. Mom, these three are the buyers I'm talking to you about cooperation. Then Yang's mother started chatting about business with a few people. They chatted smoothly until about 5 o'clock, and then came directly to the restaurant. Johnson arrived just after Zoku arrived. Several buyers were shrewd people. They saw the expression on Zoku's face when he looked at Johnson, and knew that Johnson was either Zhou's love rival or enemy, so their attitude was very bad. After listening to Jessica's description, Johnson roughly knew that this was all a farce directed and performed by Zoku. He gave Jessica some favors, created some troubles out of nothing, and saved the beauty to enhance his glorious image. He just didn't know where the actors were found. Was Jiahui still playing both sides? It shouldn't be like that. He had already revealed a lot of the bottom line. Jiahui was a smart man and knew the truth that he would suffer from the chaos if he didn't make a decision. After a glass of wine, the man surnamed Zhao looked at Zoku's expression and understood. Sister Yang, I understand that a child wants to learn something that is not in the course, but after all, we are discussing business, so it is better to keep the content confidential. You are the party involved, and niece Yang is your daughter, not to mention Mr. Zhou. But if other people know about our cooperation and spread it around, and I give you such a high purchase price, other suppliers will ask me to increase the quota after knowing it. What should I do? The Yang family mother and daughter were in a dilemma. They believed in Johnson's character and knew that he would not go out and say anything. But the other party did not know Johnson, so it was not unreasonable to worry. But it was embarrassing for them to ask Johnson to leave. Johnson had helped their family a lot. Although he did not help financially, he always did a good job. Jessica is regretting it so much now. Yes. Why did she invite an outsider like Johnson to discuss business with her family? The other party is so concerned about it that she doesn't know what to do. On one side is a very good friend and even the person she likes, and on the other side is a buyer. These three people are buyers for big hotels. If the cooperation is successful, her mother can make a lot of money. Now she is in a difficult situation. Johnson looked at the expressions of Jessica and Yang's mother and laughed at himself. Okay, I have something else to do here, so I'll leave first. Then he stood up and walked out. Seeing that Johnson had given her a way out, Jessica hurriedly chased after him. Student Johnson, I'm really sorry for today. I just wanted you to accompany me for a while, but I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Johnson was in the corridor. After seeing the door of the box closed, he said to Jessica, Jessica, you have to open your eyes. Zoku is not a good person. What happened to my stall is most likely Zoku did it to cause trouble for me. And we also found out that this person is a complete scumbag. He often goes to various entertainment venues and started to take all kinds of girls to open rooms at the age of 16. Jessica looked at him strangely. You are a student, and you are investigating people. Then she patiently explained to Johnson, It's okay. I have observed Zoku these days, and he is a good person. He is helpful, considerate, and gentle. I believe that my mother's stall was in trouble because of you. After all, you have been fighting since junior high school. But I don't think Zoku directed and acted in it himself. In the afternoon, Zoku was beaten several times to help my mother. Johnson covered his forehead. My sister, why don't you believe what I say? You don't be hostile to Zoku just because he approached me at the beginning of the semester. You even beat him up at that time, but he didn't say anything, right? Jessica reached out to grab Johnson's hand and said, We are classmates. You two should communicate more in the future. Johnson dodged Jessica's outstretched hand and said, I really don't have any evidence. That's all I have to say. You can handle the rest of the matter. There's no need for communication. I don't have that tolerance. Go back. Thomas. My name is Thomas. My father is a second-rate boxer. When I was young, my father often went to various boxing gyms to compete in amateur groups and various unknown challenge competitions. When I was in primary school, my mother could no longer stand my useless father and filed for divorce. After the divorce, my mother did not take me away because she was afraid that I would be a burden. From then on, I lived with my father. Although my family didn't have much money, my father never let me go hungry. If I couldn't afford delicacies, I would eat vegetables with chicken. If I couldn't afford millet with sea cucumber, I would eat rice with noodles. I had a very good appetite, so I was fat since I was a child. Because I was too young, my father was worried about leaving me alone at home, fearing accidents, so he would take me with him when he went out to practice boxing. If he was competing, I would watch from the side. When I saw him getting beaten up, I would cheer him on. When I saw him beating someone else, I would cheer him on. Anyway, the main thing was to cheer him on. If he was practicing boxing, I would practice boxing on the side, doing what he did. My father liked me very much and would teach me when he had nothing to do. In fact, it was not because I liked it, but because I had nothing to do. Because the boxing gym business is not good now. Adult classes, youth classes, and children's classes are all opened, and each boxing gym is competing for students. The boxing gym where my father works has also had the experience of having students snatched away. One of them was a coach who claimed to be from the Dehao boxing gym and brought an 11-year-old boy to challenge the gym. There are relatively few students in the children's class at my father's boxing gym, but there are still some people. The more difficult situation is that these children are accompanied by their parents. Unlike adults who have the ability to take responsibility on their own, no parent would let their children attend the class to deal with these people who challenge the gym. After all, children are not careful, and it would be heartbreaking if they were beaten up. My father is an old boxer in this gym. He looks like he really wants to join in, but there is no way a man in his 40s can beat up kids in their teens. He will get scolded to death. The gym owner looked around, but couldn't find anyone to fight with. Watching the opposing coach talking in the ring and the young boxer looking proud, I felt uncomfortable. Isn't it a bit too arrogant to be the king of my territory? So when no one was paying attention, I put on my gloves and went on stage without even bringing protective gear. By the time others realized what was happening, I had already started the match with my opponent. In fact, no one was optimistic about me. I was an amateur and only learned a few tricks from my father. Even my father was ready to admit defeat at any time. But I never thought that after the start, I only threw one punch, which hit the opponent's face directly and knocked him out directly. From that time on, my father realized that I was actually a boxing genius. He began to systematically train me in boxing from work and rest, diet, physical fitness, boxing skills, etc. When I was 11 years old, I participated in the city's youth boxing competition for the first time and won the runner-up. After that, my father took out all his savings and opened a boxing gym in Qinghai City. While teaching me boxing, he also opened classes to earn some savings. When I was 12 years old, I went to junior high school. In junior high school, I met two friends, Zhang Zhiyong and Liu Yuhao. Zhang Zhiyong, like me, was born in a single-parent family, but he was very smart. Liu Yuhao had a hot temper, but he had a strong sense of justice and a warm heart. The two of them are very much to my liking, and we get along very well. The most important thing is that the three of us are all poor students. We are good in everything except studying. I often ask them to the boxing gym to practice boxing with me. They have recognized me as the boss. In order to show my dominance as the boss, I even went to a tattoo shop to get myself a set of domineering tattoos. Of course, my father took me there. He believed that as a boxer, tattoos would have a certain deterrent effect, and there was nothing wrong with it. In the second year of junior high school, I met my third friend, Johnson. He came to my boxing gym. I knew he was about my age because we were in the same class. He usually kept to himself and didn't interact with other people. I didn't expect that he was also a boxing enthusiast. After Johnson came in and saw the three of us, he actually took the initiative to talk to me. He had never taken the initiative to talk to anyone in his first year of junior high school, which really made me a little flattered. When he found out that I was the provincial youth boxing runner-up, I had already achieved good results in provincial competitions when I was in the second grade of junior high school. He wanted to fight me. Because of me, my family's boxing gym has become more prosperous. Everyone knows that my boxing skills are basically invincible among people of the same age in this city. Seeing Johnson want to challenge me, they all shook their heads helplessly. We were all classmates anyway, so I didn't take it seriously. I just played with him. He also asked me to wear protective gear. I laughed so hard that my spit choked my throat. It was fine if he could wear protective gear and not get hurt, but he also asked me to wear protective gear. My dad also stopped teaching and brought a few young students to watch this simple competition. In the first round, I played very smoothly. Johnson was always on the defensive and dodging. I easily resolved his occasional counterattacks. In fact, he had a good foundation and his footwork was quite flexible, but his movements were a bit stiff and awkward. During the break after the first round, my dad was still explaining the key points of my movements to the students. Zhang Zhiyong and Liu Yuhao were cheering me on, and I didn't even break a sweat. At the beginning of the second round, Johnson's footwork was still very flexible, but I felt something was different. Johnson increased the number of counterattacks and the number of active attacks, and I found that I couldn't keep up with his rhythm. Even in the second half of the second round, I was suppressed. My father saw that something was wrong and stopped explaining to the students. Instead, he came to the ring and gave me instructions loudly. But it was easy for him to say it, but he didn't know that I could hear, but couldn't react. I could only defend desperately and passively take the beating. But Johnson's punches were getting faster and faster, and not only faster but also more powerful. In the end, he used a powerful liver-blasting punch, which made me crawl on the ring and unable to get up. The irony is that the liver-blasting punch is a method I am good at. I have used this punch to KO many people who fought with me in the ring, but today I was KO'd. I vaguely saw my dad rushing onto the stage, Zhang Zhiyong rushing onto the stage, and Liu Yuhao rushing onto the stage. I chose to close my eyes, not because I was seriously injured, but because I had never lost so badly before. I, a professional boxer, actually lost to a nerd, and I really couldn't accept it. Thomas, Part 2. Doesn't matter if I lose. I have won too many times and have never been taught a lesson, so my self-confidence has been overly inflated. I slowly stood up and asked Johnson. With the strength he showed, he was capable of knocking me out in the first round. Why did he pretend to be so ordinary in the first round and only started to exert his strength in the second round? Was he playing a trick on me? But Johnson told me very clearly that he had never played boxing before, and he had only practiced jiu-jitsu, free fighting, and other things which were different from the rules of boxing. So he felt a little awkward in the first round, but he got used to it in the second round, so it went a little smoother. In fact, I'm still very curious about what Johnson said. A kid of my age, not only is he a great student, but he also performed guitar singing at the school party before. He not only beat himself in boxing, but also practiced jiu-jitsu and free fighting. If he participated in the youth amateur competition, it can be said that he would basically have nothing to do. And later I found out that he went to various types of boxing gyms to challenge others just for fun. He usually looked for adults from other boxing gyms to compete with the main players of the gym. But this time he saw me and suddenly had a whim to fight with me. Later, he came to the gym every 2 or 3 days to beat me up. Every time, it turned into a coaching match. Zhang Zhiyong and Liu Yuhao were not spared. Gradually, we became familiar with each other. He told me his idea. He actually wanted to integrate the resources of the underworld. There is no such thing as underworld in a harmonious society. In fact, he just wanted to organize some people who couldn't keep up with the pace of the times and society, such as ruffians, gangsters, and scoundrels. These people are not necessarily bad people, but because they did not receive enough education since childhood, they gradually came to this result. To be honest, I'm actually this kind of person, but the good thing is that I have a skill, and this skill is enough for my future life. Other than that, I don't have any life goals. I recognized him as the boss in a rush, although I didn't know what to do, but people with goals are the leader, so just follow the leader. After spending some time with Johnson, you will know that he is very smart. He is very smart and can learn anything at once. He also takes good care of us. However, he has one bad side. He forces the 3 of us to study. He says, "Brother, we are poor students. If studying is so easy, why would I fight?" But Johnson doesn't care. He just beats us without studying. The 3 of us can't beat him even if we fight together. In the end, we can only close our eyes and enjoy it. Moreover, this person is particularly perverted. He doesn't do his homework, but throws it to us to do. He also gives us some extra homework. Fortunately, the effect is significant. The 3 of us poor students squeeze into the top 10 in the class from the bottom 3. The teacher thought we were cheating until we finished a set of papers in public. Then Johnson and I went around challenging other gyms. Basically, I would go first and Johnson would go if I couldn't handle one. When we came across a good gym, Johnson would find someone to negotiate an acquisition. I didn't know where Johnson got the money from, but he bought dozens of gyms and never had a problem with the money. All I knew was that he was extremely rich. We also acquired a lot of billiard halls. We need to thank Johnson for giving us 4 people some shares every time we acquired something, even though we didn't pay much. He usually didn't show up for external matters, so Zhang Zhiyong and I went to handle them. He called it giving us wages, but I knew he was taking care of us. Because of him, our living conditions improved quickly, but I don't know why he, who should have been the richest, never got any money and had to rely on us for daily support. Slowly, our reputation spread. Since I was the 3rd oldest among the 4 of us, everyone who knew me called me Fat Third Brother. We also found some relatively well-connected and loyal people in society to manage our boxing gyms or billiard halls, and to provide some idle people with odd jobs or places to gather. To be honest, the order in High City seems to have improved a bit in the past 2 years. Can I brag a little? and say that we also have a share of the credit? Then we met Lin Jiexuan. It was a coincidence that we met him. Johnson had a mistress. Oh no, it was a female classmate named Jessica, who was in the same class as us in junior high school. She was taciturn and was taken care of by Johnson since she was a child. Her family sold condiments. Lin Jishuan's family ran a farmer's market, and Jessica's stall was opened in this farmer's market. Lin Jishuan was 2 or 3 years older than us. He was uneducated and bullied the vendors in the market because his family ran a farmer's market. When Jessica was growing up, she became more and more beautiful, so she was favored by Lin Jishuan. He would tease her every now and then. Johnson also often patronized Jessica's business or helped out. One time, he encountered a girl being molested. Johnson didn't tolerate it, but went up and dislocated Lin Jishuan's 2 arms. Then Lin Jishuan called a group of security guards to help, and Johnson beat the group of security guards with his bare hands and made them run away. A few minutes later, a group of people were staggering, and only Johnson stood out from the crowd. Johnson is really good at fighting and has strong endurance. It would be a waste if he didn't play in the game. Johnson didn't leave after beating the man. He just took out all the money from the 3 of us and gave it to the man for medical expenses. According to him, the man didn't do anything excessive. He just pursued her closely. Chasing a girl means being shameless. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we met him. He just saw the problem for Jessica in the simplest way. From then on, Lin Jie-sun developed a liking for this boy who was younger than him. He insisted on recognizing him as the boss. He would pester Jessica to have dinner with Johnson every day and provided many conveniences to Jessica's family. Johnson felt bad for Lin Jie-shuan's situation, so he gave him face and had a few meals with him, and they eventually became friends. There were also benefits, as I arranged for many unemployed but clean people to work as security guards in the market or as waiters for stall owners, which solved the problem of food for many people. Later, with the cooperation between Johnson and Lin Jie-shuan, the market became bigger and bigger, and branches were opened. More employment problems were solved, and some of my younger brothers even rented stalls to do business. But I always feel that Jessica is not a good match for Johnson. This girl is really beautiful. From the perspective of appearance, she is more than enough for Johnson. But I always feel that there are too many things in her eyes. I can't say this to Johnson. Anyway, Johnson also said that he doesn't like her. He feels that she is like a little sister, and he helps her when she is often bullied. Forget it. Since ancient times, heroes have been tempted by beautiful women. Such a smart person is definitely incomparable to a fool like me. I just hope I won't make a mistake and regret it for the rest of my life. Chapter 23, Early Promotion. After all, they have been classmates for several years, and people have a natural desire to protect the weak. Johnson really didn't think about anything else. He was just simply helping Jessica. But after this incident, Johnson began to reflect on himself. Was he a little too much towards Jessica? He clearly had no unusual feelings for her. Was it because she was pretty, or was it because he was used to her? Maybe he had the potential to be a scumbag. But after that day, Johnson and Jessica had less interaction and communication. After several years of friendship, one thing might cause a rift in their relationship. Instead, the more enthusiastic Zoku took Johnson's place. Zoku found that Jessica was actually very easy to conquer. She had suppressed vanity in her heart, which could not be revealed directly. It needed to be slowly excavated. After all of it was excavated, he would firmly control her in his hands. In the basketball game on Monday, the number 1 high school played against the 3 high schools, and the number 1 high school still won with a crushing victory. There was just a little problem in the first quarter. According to the review of the first game, Liu Yuhao's height, bounce, and physical fitness can completely replace Zhongfen. So Baiyang made a slight adjustment to the starting lineup of this game. Power forward Liu Yuhao, point guard Yang Zhongnan, shooting guard Thomas, small forward Johnson, and replaced the center with small forward Sun He to increase the scoring breakthrough points. Sunny had begged for this starting spot, and Baiyang could not resist the pleas of the acting captain. In addition, he had already wanted to see the effect of not having a center forward, so he gave him face and let him start. Sunny thought to himself that he was quite capable, and he had to do something in this game to get the attention of the coaches and teachers and classmates from various schools. This was a good opportunity to show off. In the first quarter, number 1 high school had many offensive opportunities. Every time the ball came to Sun He would choose to play alone, regardless of whether the players around him were open. After Sun He succeeded for the first time, he became very confident. As long as he got the ball, he would not pass it at all. Sometimes he would take the initiative to intercept when his teammates passed the ball, and then attack by himself. After a few balls, the players of Sangao found him and stepped up their defense against Sun He. After the defense was strengthened, it was no longer so easy for Sun He to break through and score. The coach shouted to Sun He on the sidelines to pass the ball, but Sun He was indifferent. He just thought in his heart that as long as he scored this goal, you would think I was still good. But the more he thought about it, the less he could score, and the more he couldn't score, the more he wanted to prove himself. Before the end of the first quarter, Sangao was already behind 8-20. Johnson and his team were not in a hurry. Since he wanted to perform, let him perform. In this case, the coach must take action. Sure enough, with 2 minutes left, Bai Yang requested a substitution, and Song Yofa replaced Sun He. "Coach, I can do it." Sun He, who was reluctant to be substituted, was still begging Bai Yang. "Let me continue to play." "Why do you want to play? With those 2 hits, you just made it hard for you to even get on the Kong, and you still want to play?" Bai Yang pointed at Sun He's nose and scolded. "Don't you know how badly you played? Even elementary school students play better than you. There are 5 people in a team. How many good opportunities have you wasted because of your arrogance? Sit aside and reflect on yourself." Sunny couldn't even raise his head. He sat down on the bench angrily, without saying a word. Substitute forward Song Yofa cherished this opportunity after he came on the court. He knew his own weight, so he tried his best to defend and assist the team in cooperation, and occasionally scored. Johnson and Thomas scored as much as they could, and the game ended with a score of 95-60. The team that was predicted to be at the bottom before the game has now won 2 games and looks like a dark horse. After 2 consecutive victories, no one can look down on this team anymore. This year's top player is very strong. Even though he won both games, Bai Yang still used his rest time at night to rewatch the video of the games frame by frame many times. The more he watched, the more excited he became. He felt that this year he would most likely advance from the city level to the provincial level, and even to the national level. He is a very good coach, but the nature of the school means that there are not many good basketball talents. Last year's freshman Yang Zongnan was the best point guard he had ever seen, but the strength of the others was not as good as Yang Zongnan's understanding of basketball, so they could not keep up with the rhythm during the game. However, since the addition of Johnson and several other freshmen this year, the overall strength of the basketball team has been greatly improved, and Yang Zongnan's strength has been stimulated, and Zhang Zhiyong's ball control ability is not much inferior. These 2 people have caused trouble to each other. Johnson, Thomas, and Liu Yuhao are all top-notch in scoring, attacking, and defending. Bai Yang is even thinking of recommending them to play for the provincial professional basketball team. The team's performance did not disappoint Bai Yang. In the match against Yan'an on Wednesday, he only sent Johnson as a main player, and all the others were substitutes. In the end, he still won the game with a score of 70-62. On Friday, Bai Yang played against number 4 High School, which is a strong and established team. So Bai Yang did not dare to be too arrogant in this game, but sent all the main players. As a strong and established team, number 4 High School's formation was very stable, and the players' individual abilities were also very good. Although number 1 High School was always in the lead, the score at number 4 High School was very close, and they did not fall behind too much. Until the end of the game, number 1 High School finally defeated number 4 High School with a 5-point advantage. The game continued to become increasingly intense, which made the coaches and players of other schools wet their teeth. On Sunday, the defending champion Yutsai High School will play against number 1 High School. This game also gave Yutsai a good lesson. At this point, there is only 1 day left in the competition, Sunday, and the current points are: Inghai number 1 High School, for wins in 4 games, 8 points. Inghai number 2 High School, 0 wins in 4 games, for points. Inghai Sangao, 1 win in 4 games, 5 points. 4th Vocational High School, 2 wins in 4 games, 6 points. Yan'an Experimental Middle School, for games, 1 win, 5 points. Yutsai High School, for wins in 4 games, 8 points. The current points ranking is that number 1 High School and Yutsai are tied for 1st place, number 4 High School is 3rd, number 3 High School and Yan'an are tied for 4th place, and number 2 High School is at the bottom. This means that the 1st and 2nd places in the competition have been locked in advance, and the other teams just need to earn 3rd or 4th place. Bai Yang was so happy after seeing the result that he couldn't stop smiling. Since he had already qualified, he didn't need to do sprint training on Saturday. He had been on edge for so long and got the best result in the history of number 1 High School, so he must celebrate in advance. Then he waved his hand and said, "Let's go, Bohai Bay Seafood Restaurant. I'm going to bleed today so you can beat the local tyrants." "Coach, awesome! Coach, awesome!" Everyone shouted excitedly. Chapter 24 Bohai Bay Hotel. Inghai City is a seaside city with seafood as the main dish. Bohai Bay Seafood Restaurant is the most famous seafood restaurant in the city. I have to say that Bai Yongding was prepared to be ripped off when he had a meal at this place. But he was happy. The team advanced ahead of schedule. He was happy. Money can't buy my happiness. I'm happy no matter how much money I spend. It's just cheap. What's wrong with that? The academic workload of number one high school is heavy. Normally, after the game, the players have to go back to class for evening self-study. Today, Bayong personally told the Dean James about this situation. James was so happy that he agreed to the students' request for leave for evening self-study. Of course, after hearing the news, he immediately boasted about the basketball team's performance through the school radio. On the other side, the basketball team has arrived at the Bohai Bay Hotel. The design of the hotel is relatively high-end. There are no open tables for guests to use. All of them are private rooms. Different levels of private rooms are located on different floors. High-level private rooms will also require a certain service fee. Although Bai Yang will bleed, there is no need to bleed in vain. So he asked for a room of a lower level. But after all, it was Friday after get off work, and there was a large flow of people, so the seats were quite tight, and several people needed to sit in the lobby and wait for a seat. It happened that at this moment, Mr. Zhao, a buyer from Bohai Bay, was seeing his partner off. He caught a glimpse of Johnson and several others who were waiting for a table. He did not know the others, but he knew Johnson. He had met him at dinner last Sunday. He was Mr. Zhou's rival in love, but he was driven away by his group at that time. So, was he here to eat? Mr. Zhao rolled his eyes, thinking this was a good opportunity to bribe the leader, who said bribery can only be done with money. He immediately took out his phone and called Zoku. Hello, Mr. Zhou. This is Uncle Zhao. It was during the break, so Zhou might have received a call. Ah, Uncle Zhao, what's up? Mr. Zhao said, didn't a kid come over last weekend when I was discussing business with the seasoning seller? That kid is waiting for a table in our restaurant now. Oh, Zhoka asked. How many people are there? There are more than 10 people, all men, and the leader is a man in his 30s. Mr. Zhao replied. Then Mr. Zhao asked, Mr. Zhou, do you need me to arrange anything? Zhoka thought for a moment and replied, no need, just delay it for a while, don't let them wait. I'll be there now. Okay, got it. After hanging up the phone, Mr. Zhao gave a few simple instructions to the receptionist to postpone these people's calls. On the other side, Zoku also invited Jessica to have dinner together. When Jessica heard that they had to go to Bohai Bay Hotel for a simple dinner, she actually refused. However, Zoku said that Uncle Zhao happened to be looking for her for something, so if she went, she would definitely have to eat, and it was just on the way. Wang Ting also urged, how can we not go for such a good thing? It's just a meal, not a business trip. I also want to go to Bohai Bay to eat seafood. Let's go, let me take advantage of it too. Wang Ting is Jessica's classmate and now her best friend. She's called a best friend, but in fact, she is a surveillance camera that Zoku arranged next to Jessica. In order to better control Jessica, Zoku selected Wang Ting in the class. Although Wang Ting has a good figure and a beautiful appearance, and is also a top student, she is definitely a gold digger. Knowing that Zoku's uncle is a famous entrepreneur in Yinghai City, she always takes the opportunity to pester Zoku, and Zoku accepts everyone who comes. They have already formed an ambiguous relationship for most of the semester. She even instigated Wang Ting to approach Jessica, whispering in her ear, making her subconsciously think that Zoku was the most suitable person for her. Jessica didn't have many friends, and Wang Ting's active approach quickly made them her best friend. Wang Ting didn't like the role of a pimp, but he knew that rich people all had their own hobbies, and it was enough to satisfy their material desires now. There was a long way to go, and maybe after going to college, he could find a richer second-generation rich man. So helping Zhou Kun now was a transaction, one willing to fight and the other willing to be beaten. Well, okay. Seeing that her best friend also wanted to go, Jessica agreed. In order to highlight his ability, Zhoku specially asked his family to drive a car to pick him up in advance. Wow, a Mercedes. Zhoku, your family is so nice. Not only can you drive a nice car, but you also have a driver. Wang Ting looked admiring. Zhoku said as if it was a trivial matter. It's not that I'm not old enough and I haven't got a driver's license yet. Besides, we're just going to have a simple meal. So I asked the driver to drive the cheapest car over. Please. Zhoku opened the back door and made a gesture for Jessica to get in. Then he sat in the back with Jessica. Of course, Wang Ting sat in the front. Jessica sat in the back and felt a little nervous. In the past, when she and Johnson went out, they always rode a bike or walked and rarely took a taxi. Moreover, Johnson had never been so gentlemanly to her. Her daily life with Johnson seemed very casual, without any gentlemanliness or romance. Was it true that the relationship between her and him was not a love between a man and a woman? The hotel was also 20 minutes away. Jessica was thinking all the way and soon arrived at the hotel entrance. When getting off the car, Zoku got off first, ran to the opposite side, and opened the door for Jessica first. After Jessica got off the car, Zoku said to the driver indifferently, "Go find a seat by yourself and send me back after I get out." "Okay, Master Zhou." The driver replied respectfully. Wang Ting flattered him at the right time. "Wow, Master Zhou is really charismatic. Let's go in. I'm hungry." Then she took Jessica's arm and went in first, and Zoku followed behind. As soon as I entered the door, I heard a quarrel in the hotel lobby. It was the quarrel between Bai Yang and his group and the hotel. "Yeah, you guys are here too." Jessica saw Johnson and the others, not sure whether she was surprised or surprised. What happened? Johnson saw Jessica coming with Zoku and knew that she had not taken his words to heart before, so he said lightly, "It's okay. I'm waiting for a table." "It's nothing." Lu Yuhao interrupted Johnson and said to the lobby manager, "We have been waiting for 40 minutes, and they kept telling me there are no seats. Those who came later have all gone in, but we are still waiting." "What does that mean?" The lobby manager who was communicating with him explained, "Sir, I have told you many times that you are queuing for the ordinary room, and there is indeed no room at the moment. Those who come later will enter the VIP room and the deluxe room. There are still vacancies in the deluxe room. Do you want to go in? Get lost." Lu Yuhao cursed. "I saw several people go into the ordinary rooms. Why didn't they give me a seat in the ordinary rooms? Why did they force me to spend a lot of money to go into the luxury room?" "Sir, please pay attention to your emotions and character." The lobby manager said, "We don't need to deceive you, and I don't need to make money from you. To be honest, you may not be able to afford it." Lu Yuhao was so angry that he was speechless for a moment. Thomas whispered to Johnson, "How about we treat him? I'll go get a luxury room." Johnson stopped Thomas. "No, Mr. White is treating us, and you are a minor. Isn't Mr. White embarrassed? Lu Yuhao should let us in soon after making such a fuss." "Okay, stop arguing." Someone spoke up at this time. Chapter 25, Rural Scenery. Zoku walked out of the crowd and said to the lobby manager, "You are such a jerk. These are my friends." When the lobby manager saw Zoku coming, he quickly said with a smile, "Oh, Mr. Zhou is here. Look at what you were saying. If I had known that they were your friends, I would have brought them in a long time ago." "Umph." Zoku shouted coldly, then turned to Bai Yang and said, "Teacher Bai Yang, I'm Zoku from Class 1, Grade 1. I was supposed to have dinner with 2 of my classmates today. Since we just happened to meet, if there's no place to go, why don't we go to the private room I booked and have a meal together?" "That's not a good idea. We just want to have a quick meal, and the luxury package is too expensive." "No need." Bai Yang hesitated. "What's wrong with that? The private room I booked is big and can accommodate all of us. And I'm familiar with the boss, and he never charges me service fee for the private room." Without waiting for a response, Zoku pulled Bai Yang upstairs. "Is that so? Well, come on, classmates, let's thank Zoku." Bai Yang, who was being pulled upstairs, did not forget to give instructions to his students. "Thanks. Grateful. Thank goodness for classmate Zhou." A few words of thanks came through. Lu Yuhao asked Johnson, "Shall we go too?" Johnson glanced at him and said, "What else can we do? It's a group activity, and Old White is so happy. We have to give him some face." "It's all right." Thomas led a few people to the front. "We should just eat and drink. We could just watch Zoku bragging in front." In addition, there is another person who is quite depressed. That is Sun He. In the presence of the school's recognized beauty, someone pretended to be cool in front of him, and he was allowed to pretend. His uncle could tolerate it, but his aunt could not. However, he had no idea what to do and could only follow behind like a fly. If Li Wei was here at this time, he might be able to give him some advice. The luxury box is different. It is very large and is not only a normal dining area, but also a lounge area for conversation, karaoke for entertainment, and a bathroom. It is everything you need. Wow! This house can be lived in directly if we add a bed. Han Xianqiao came from the countryside and was a simple person. He couldn't help but sigh. "It's better than our home." "Umph, a bumpkin from the countryside." Wang Ting sneered with disdain. Han Xianqiao heard it, but didn't know what to say. He had indeed seen very little, so he didn't dare to speak and just pretended not to hear it. Lu Yuhao, who was hot-tempered, couldn't stand it anymore, so he pointed at Wang Ting's nose and started to scold her. What's wrong with coming from the countryside? Although she came from the countryside, she didn't steal, rob, or use connections. She was able to get into the best high school in Inghai City through her own efforts. Isn't she better than you? What does it have to do with you? Vong ting punte dot lu yuho angrele. It has nothing to do with me. And it has nothing to do with you? Lu Yuhao didn't care if the other person was a woman or not, and didn't give her any face at all. First, she is not like some people who gossip, and second, she is not like some people who hang out with rich men. Why should you mock such a simple person? You are just an old duck. You. Wang Ting had never heard such vulgar words before, and she was speechless for a moment. Don't be angry, don't be angry. We are all classmates. Please sit down. Bai Yang came out at the right time to smooth things over. Humph! Wang Ting sat down but still insisted. Farmers are just stupid. They make a fuss even about entering a restaurant. They have never seen the world. Seeing Lu Yuhao was about to say something, Johnson stopped him and said calmly to Wang Ting, "Classmate, you don't have to be so superficial. You can't tell the difference between wheat and rice, and leeks and garlic sprouts when you go to the countryside. When you see the scenery in the countryside, you will also marvel at the wonders of nature. Doesn't that mean that in the eyes of the rural people, you are not as good as them?" "What do you mean?" Wang Ting asked him with narrowed eyes. Johnson replied calmly, "What I mean is, don't mistake ignorance for naivety. Different regions have their own living habits. If you look at rural people with the living habits of urban people, that's prejudice. It's advanced to be humble and tolerant after seeing the scenery. Don't let your pitiful and inexplicable sense of superiority blind your IQ. Put a green onion in your pig's nose and pretend to be an elephant." Johnson said this in a very calm tone, and it did have a shocking effect. Even those in the team who had previously looked down on Han Xianqiao felt guilty about their thoughts. "All right." Before Wang Ting could say anything else, Johnson said, "Young Master Zhou next to you, if I remember correctly, his father, the district chief of Zhanqian district, also came from the village." This? Wang Ting was speechless after hearing this, because she didn't know if it was true. If it was true, then she was indeed being ridiculed along with Zoku. Zoku was enjoying the show, but she didn't expect the war to spread to herself. She thought, damn it, how did this guy know about my family? Since the topic has come to this point, Zoku certainly can't avoid it. She can only follow Johnson's words and say, Student Johnson is right. Everyone is equal, and we are all classmates. There is no discrimination. Wang Ting just feels that this student Han's performance is a bit too much, but he didn't use the right language. Ha! Johnson chuckled and stopped talking. If he said more, it would end badly. Seeing her best friend, and Huku quarreling, Jessica was at a loss. Seeing Zhou could speak up to help, she looked at him gratefully, and then blamed Johnson for not giving her friend face. Okay, everyone take a seat. Zhou greeted everyone like a host. Teacher Bai Yang, please order the dishes. What would you like to see? Bai Yang took the menu and said, let me make it clear first, today's meal will be treated by me. You are all students, and it doesn't make sense for students to treat teachers to a meal. Of course, this sentence was said to Zoku. Teacher, let's order some food and eat first. We'll talk about treating you later. Zoku said. When ordering the dishes, Bai Yang felt really distressed. The cheapest green vegetable was 45 yuan a plate, and the cheapest cold dish was 30 yuan a plate, not to mention the meat dishes. He gritted his teeth and ordered nearly 20 dishes, thinking that with such a big result, he would have to order at least half of it tomorrow. The dishes were served soon. Bai Yang picked up the cup and stood up. Seeing the teacher stand up, the classmates also stood up spontaneously. Bai Yang said happily, "Today is a day worth celebrating. This is the first time since the establishment of number 1 high school that we have qualified for the city-level competition and advanced to the provincial competition. Today's achievement is the result of the hard work of all the students. Let's raise our glasses and drink this cup instead of wine. Cheers!" A group of people clinked their cups against the table to represent a toast, and then drank the drinks in their hands. Chapter 26, It's Raining. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Come in. Yang Zhongnan, who was sitting near the door, called out. The waiter came in with a small food cart and said, "Excuse me, please serve the food." Yang Zhongnan asked in confusion, "Our dishes have all been served. We didn't order these. Did they serve the wrong dishes?" "Nothing is wrong," the waiter said as he placed the dishes. "These dishes were sent by our manager. He knew Mr. Zhou was coming and asked the kitchen to prepare them for him." Everyone at the table looked at Zoku at the same time. Zoku was very satisfied with the attention, especially after seeing Jessica glance at him twice. He felt even more satisfied with his vanity. "I really have to thank Uncle Zhao. We are all family. Why should we thank each other? It's too formal." A middle-aged bald man came in with a bottle of wine. "Hey, Uncle Zhao is here. Zoku introduced by Yang after greeting him. This is Mr. Zhao, one of the owners of Bohai Bay Hotel. Bai Yang hurriedly shook Mr. Zhao's hand. Hello, Mr. Zhao. Thank you for giving us so many dishes. I'm really sorry. You are being polite again. Mr. Zhao said politely. I just found out that Mr. Zhou and his teachers and classmates came to our restaurant for dinner. Our restaurant is really honored. Hey, Master Zhou, you have such a wide network of contacts. Sunny said sarcastically. No, Uncle Zhao is a friend of my dad, and he's also a family acquaintance with my uncle, Zoku explained. Young man, Zoku is usually very low-key. You may not know this. Manager Zhao explained, Zoku's father is Mr. Zhou Dahai, the district head of our Zhanshan district, and his uncle is Mr. Duan Yongsen, a well-known entrepreneur in our city. It is no exaggeration to say that his visit to our store brings honor to our humble store. Sunny was also surprised at Zhou's identity. He only knew that he had some background before, but he never thought that his background was so big. It can be said that he has both money and power. Since he can't compete with him, he might as well keep a low profile. All right, this is an internal gathering. If you have nothing else to do, just go out first. Thank you for the food. Lu Yuhao didn't want to listen to him, being afraid of horses. He wanted to get him out as soon as he heard him bragging about business at the gathering. Manager Zhao turned around and pretended to accidentally see Johnson next to Lu Yuhao. Hey, isn't this brother who? What a coincidence. Wang Ting heard something wrong in Manager Zhao's tone and said, Mr. Zhao, do you know Johnson too? Oh, so the guy's name is Johnson. Nice name. I'm not sure, but I don't know him. Manager Zhao changed the subject, and there was a sharp contrast in the tone between what he said to Johnson and what he said to Zoku. How do you know his last name is who if you don't know him? Wang Ting continued to ask. Manager Zhao explained, it's like this. A while ago, I was discussing something with Master Zhou, and somehow he found out about it. He said he was Master Zhou's classmate and wanted to learn from him, but how could such a cooperative thing be known to outsiders? I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to Master Zhou for embarrassing you. He apologized to Johnson again. Brother who you should also understand my brother's difficulties. Johnson was eating by himself and ignored him, which made Manager Zhao very embarrassed. But Wang Ting found a topic to talk about. She was just scolded by Johnson, and Zoku didn't like him. What? Johnson is so shameless that he wants to learn business from Manager Zhao and Zoku. It's so embarrassing. The top student in the school doesn't study hard and thinks he is so good that he wants to enter the society early? Does this count as being beaten before entering the society? That's not the case. Jessica hurriedly explained. I asked Johnson to go that day. I wanted him to accompany me. He accompanies you? Wang Ting touched Jessica's forehead. Jessica, are you kidding me? You are not tempted by Zoku, who is so good, and you let Johnson accompany you. Is he richer than Zoku? Does he have a better background than Zoku? He has nothing. No matter how well he studies, he will only work for Zoku. I don't understand if your brain is stuck in the door. Ahem. Bai Yanzhou get twice. What are you doing? Can you eat properly? You are so young, and yet you are learning so messed up. What you should do now is to enrich yourselves. Don't compare yourself with others, and don't look at others with tinted glasses. You're still talking about love in front of me. Although I teach physical education, I am also your teacher. The teacher was quite intimidating, given the students' natural fear. Once Bai Yang spoke seriously, all the students at the table dared not say a word. Your name is Wang Ting, right? Bai Yang said to Wang Ting. How could Richard teach a student like you who has such a distorted outlook on life? It's really shameful. Wang Ting listened with her head down, not daring to speak. Manager Zhao saw that the situation was not good and immediately came out to smooth things over. I said the wrong thing. Don't be angry, everyone. This meal is mine. Let's eat and drink peacefully. No need. Yang stood up. We are not worthy of eating here. Classmates, there is a barbecue place next to the school. It is clean, sanitary, cheap, and affordable. The food here is too much for us. Let's go eat barbecue. Can. Walk. I know it's called Brothers Link. The roasted kidneys are really delicious. The students present were already disgusted enough. Just now downstairs they thought Zoku was such a good person, but it turned out that he was always wandering between bragging and being flattered, with Wang Ting fawning on him. This meal was really disgusting. They might as well leave quickly. By the way, Bai Yang said to Manager Zhao, you don't have to ask for a free meal. I have the money. It's just a small amount for a meal. He took out his card and handed it to the waiter, swiped the card. Little Bai Yang is so handsome. Zoku said nothing, his expression gloomy. Manager Zhao didn't expect that the ridicule was too strong. It was originally good, but the teacher got angry. The teacher still sided with his students. Jessica saw Johnson leave without even looking at her before he left. She felt a dull pain in her chest and stood up to follow him, but was stopped by Wang Ting. Jessica, are you going with them too? Why are you leaving with such a large table of food? Let's finish eating and go back to evening study. Don't waste Zhou's kindness. Yes, Jessica, sit down and eat. Uncle Zhao is here too, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him. Zoku pulled Jessica to sit down and then said to Manager Zhao, Uncle Zhao, come sit down and eat with us. Manager Zhao saw Zoku's gesture and said, Then I will respectfully obey your command. On the other side is the Brothers Bar, which was opened by Thomas's friends. The two of them didn't get the college entrance exam scores, so they thought about it and decided not to study. So they opened a bar together, so it was called Brothers. I heard that Thomas was going to bring a group of people over, so I reserved a large table. More than a dozen people were having a great time eating meat and drinking drinks. They talked about everything from basketball training to games to studies, and even the universities they wanted to go to and the jobs they wanted to do in the future. Even Sun, he got involved. On the other side, Jessica poured water and served tea to Manager Zhao from time to time. Everyone was polite and ate well. The weather changed. It started to rain. Chapter 27, Heavy Rain Warning. The rain kept falling from drizzle to moderate rain. It rained all night on Friday and did not stop on Saturday. We were supposed to train on Saturday, but the gymnasium of the first high school had not been built yet, so the outdoor basketball court was not suitable for training. Anyway, we had already advanced. Bai Yang waved his hand and called each team member, asking them to take a day off today and gather their strength for the last game. At the same time, in Zhouku's home, Zhouku's father Zhou Dahai and Zhouku's uncle Duan Yongsen were discussing something. Manager Zhao from Bohai Bay was waiting outside the room. The renovation of the top floor of the stadium needs to be accelerated. Zhou Dahai said to Duan Yongsen, since this project has been handed over to you, you have to pay attention and prepare the accounts. Don't worry, brother-in-law. This kind of work has happened more than once or twice. It's okay, Duan Yongsen replied. Don't take it lightly. After all, it's not easy for this gymnasium to last for 8 years. We should take this opportunity to remedy the situation before anything goes wrong, said Zhou Dahai. I know. The materials have been transported there. There is a basketball game tomorrow. After the game, the stadium will be closed and construction will begin. We will fill in all the historical omissions. Duan Yongsen answered, patting his chest. Okay, you handle this matter. Go and call Zhao Weixing in. Zhou Dahai waved his hand. Zhou Dahai came in timidly, carrying 2 bottles of matai. Hello, District Chief. Thank you for taking the time to see me despite your busy schedule. Please sit down. Zhou Dahai pointed to the sofa next to him. Okay. Zhao Weixing agreed and sat half of his, but on the sofa. What are you holding? Zhou Dahai pointed at what Zhao Weixing's hand was holding. Oh, our hotel supplier gave us a box of matai samples. You see, I don't drink alcohol, but I thought you would have a few sips, so I brought them to you. Zhao Weixing then handed over the 2 bottles of matai in his hand. And these 2 bottles are said to be collector's editions. I'm not a collector, so I brought them to you together. This is not good. Zhou Dahai looked at the wine and deliberately prolonged the sound. What's wrong with this? They're just some samples. You can try them. If you don't want them, no one will drink them. Well, thank you, Manager Zhao. Zhou Dahai gave a look, and Duan Yongsen took the wine. Although it was just some wine, it was all good wine. The market price of each bottle of the box that was not brought in was 3,000 yuan. The most ruthless ones were the 2 bottles that were brought in, which were collection level and could be sold for 500,000 yuan each. Then Zhou Dahai went into the main text. I know why you are here today. The right to use the vacant land next to the stadium has been approved, and I have also applied for the government subsidy for you. Oh. Zhao Weixing stood up and kept bowing to Zhou Dahai. Thank you, leader. Thank you, leader. I really trouble you so much. Sit down. Zhou Dahai waved his hand, motioning the other party to sit down. I remember your family seems to be doing catering and accommodation here. Yes. Zhao Weixing said. Our city is not only a tourist city, but also a sports city. Various ball games and sports competitions are often held in our city. I also see this business opportunity. Well, that's a good idea, Zhou Dahai said. It's because my son has had contact with you and has been speaking well of you that I considered your company. But since I've handed it over to you, I must think you are capable of doing it, not just because of other people's praise. You must make some achievements. I have gone against all odds. Don't embarrass me. That's right, I will definitely work diligently and devote myself to the development. I will do my best for the leadership and the economic development of Yinghai City. Zhao Weisheng stood up again and expressed his determination respectfully. Sit down, don't be nervous. Zhou Dehai smiled and waved his hand again, motioning him to sit down. By the way, have you thought about the construction matters? Boss, I don't know anything about construction. Zhao Weisheng was very knowledgeable about the ways of the world, and he knew what Zhou Dehai meant when he asked. I've thought about it. Mr. Duan has a company that does construction and decoration design, so I want to give the whole thing to Mr. Duan. Mr. Duan is related to you, and he is also an outstanding entrepreneur in this city. I feel relieved to leave it to him. Zhou Dehai smiled slightly and said, Okay, Yongsen, Mr. Zhao trusts you, so you should cooperate with him and finish his tasks. We still need to catch up with the deadline and get results in a hurry. Don't worry, brother-in-law, Duan Yongsen said. Today, I have discussed the details of the cooperation with Mr. Zhao, and after signing the contract, we will start immediately. The materials will be delivered one after another, and we will start work after they are delivered. Well, after this is done, the probability of me being nominated as mayor will be a little higher. Zhou Dehai has already begun to imagine what he will be like when he becomes mayor. The rain was still falling. Not only did it not show any signs of slowing down, but it was also gradually getting heavier. Busy construction teams appeared around the gymnasium. Duan Yongsen not only had to renovate the top floor of the gymnasium, but also had to build a new hotel. The construction period was very tight, so he sent 3 construction teams to work together. The construction materials were transported in truckloads. As 2 sites were under construction at the same time, a lot of materials were needed. There wasn't much space around the gymnasium to store the materials. Some construction team members reported that since they were all from the same company and the gymnasium also had to start construction, they just piled some of the lighter materials on the roof of the gymnasium. Would Duan Yongsen agree to this? Others may not know, but he knows that the roof of the gymnasium is a shoddy project. When the gymnasium was built 8 years ago, due to corruption, there was a lack of funds in the later stage, so the load-bearing materials were privately replaced with lower specification materials. It was good enough that it could last for 8 years. They took advantage of the current funding to repair it quickly, and then they pocketed some more. If it collapsed prematurely because of something pressing on it, it would be hard to explain. Due to Duan Yongsen's strong opposition, the construction team stacked the materials strictly according to the specifications and standards, and all the first batch of arriving materials had been stacked in the designated location by Saturday evening. At night, the gymnasium was silent. Outside the gymnasium, the wind was blowing hard and rain had begun to come with lightning. Our station reports that due to the influence of the typhoon, this round of rainfall has reached the level of heavy rain. We are currently under red warning for heavy rain, yellow warning for thunder and lightning, and blue warning for strong winds. The latest news was broadcast on TV. Drip, in the darkness, a drop of water seeped down from the roof of the gymnasium. Chapter 28 time. The heavy rain continued all night, and it was still raining on Sunday. Because of the heavy rain, there were fewer people on the streets, and everyone stayed at home. However, the basketball game was still held as scheduled. After all, the gymnasium received a notice that it would be closed for construction starting from Monday, so the game schedule could not be delayed. Today is Sunday, and some students should have come to cheer for the school team, but the qualifying places have been determined, and due to heavy rain, the schools asked not to go out unless necessary. Only the players of the 6 teams took the buses to gather at the gymnasium. Because today is the last day, awards will be given to the teams after the game, so the teams that have finished the game today will not leave the venue early. The gymnasium has 3 floors in total. The basketball hall is on the 2nd floor of the stadium, and the 3rd floor is the tennis hall, badminton hall, table tennis hall, and a small restaurant. The first high school match was the 2nd game in the afternoon. After arriving at the stadium, the group went to the restaurant on the 3rd floor to eat a simple meal. When leaving, a drop of water fell on Zhang Ziyong's head. Zhang Ziyong looked up at the ceiling full of lights, didn't take it seriously, and patted his head. As the game progressed, the rain gradually subsided. The games between number 3 high school and Yunnan, as well as number 2 high school and number 4 high school, were all finished. After the games between number 2 high school and number 4 high school were finished, it was already 15:30 in the afternoon. The players of Yinghai number 1 high school and Yucai high school had already started warming up. The students of number 1 high school were unprecedentedly united. Even Sun, he no longer thought about individualism. They were all working hard to win the city-level competition. At 4 p.m., the whistle for the last game sounded, and number 1 high school and Yucai entered into a tense battle. There were only players from several other schools and a few spectators in the stands. Yucai was worthy of being the defending champion, and the score was very close. At 16:25, the first half ended with a score of 30-33, with number 1 high school leading by 3 points. The game entered halftime. The players from number 1 high school and Yutsai went into the lounge to rest and listen to the coach's tactical arrangements for the second half. Some players from other schools sat in their seats, some walked around the gymnasium, and some went to the restaurant on the 3rd floor to buy food. The open restaurant is located in the middle of the 3rd floor. Visitors found that the restaurant was leaking, dripping very fast. The staff seemed to be used to it and did not take it seriously. They used a few buckets and basins to collect the water and left it alone. Not only the staff did not care, but other people who came to eat did not care either, and they all felt it was a normal thing. At 16:30, a drop of water mixed with dirt fell on a sandwich in the hand of a diner. The diner broke off the dirty piece with a look of disgust and threw it away. At 16:35, people who were watching the basketball game walked down the stairs and returned to the basketball court. Players from both teams also returned to the court to prepare for the second half of the game. At 16:40, the referee put the whistle in his mouth, ready to blow the whistle for the second half of the game. Beep! Bang, bang, bang. As the whistle sounded, a deafening sound echoed in the stadium, and then everyone felt a slight vibration in the ground. What's going on? For a moment, the players from both sides stopped where they were, at a loss as to what to do. Johnson noticed something was wrong and looked up. The sound just now came from upstairs. When he looked up, the dust blinded his eyes. Johnson felt that the situation was not that simple, so he signaled the referee to suspend the game. As soon as the game was suspended, someone rushed in and shouted that the ceiling on the 3rd floor had collapsed. This voice was so harsh in the gymnasium, but the students had a weak sense of safety and had no idea how the collapse of the ceiling had anything to do with them. For a moment, no one knew what to do, and everyone was stunned where they were. At this time, the 2nd floor ceiling also began to fall rubble, and Johnson quickly reminded everyone, "Everyone run quickly. This place may also collapse." For a moment, no one listened to him. Only Thomas and the others followed suit. The physical education teachers and referees from various schools also reacted and quickly organized the students from their schools to evacuate. Although the number of people was small, it took a lot of effort to organize the students to evacuate in an orderly manner. The cracks in the 2nd floor ceiling were getting bigger and bigger, and rubble kept falling down. At 16:43, most people had already evacuated the basketball hall. As the last person stepped out of the door, the roof of the gymnasium finally collapsed. People from other venues on the 2nd floor also fled one after another, screaming one after another. Some venues collapsed slightly, but some collapsed severely. Many people were injured by the rubble, and some were even buried under the rocks. At 16:45, those who were able to escape had moved to the open area outside the gymnasium. Thomas and his colleagues organized people to communicate with small shops and arrange for the injured to rest. Others who were not clearly injured helped to open some parasols and awnings to protect the slightly injured from the rain. 120 and 110 had been called. There were few cars on the road, but some cars would pass by and see the situation. Both private cars and taxis stopped what they were doing and came to help spontaneously. The more seriously injured were helped by others into private cars and taxis and rushed to the nearest hospital. The rain was still falling, and no one cared about the mud on the cars. At 16:55, the fire brigade arrived at the scene first. After investigation, it was found that the roof of the gymnasium collapsed from the middle and spread to the surrounding areas. Part of the top floor of the 2nd floor of the gymnasium was affected, and people were trapped. There was also a risk of secondary collapse at any time. The fire rescue personnel immediately launched a rescue operation, using demolition tools to cut and clean the collapsed building components, and using search and rescue dogs with life detectors to search for buried people. At 1700 hours, public security police arrived one after another, set up a cordon, began to maintain order at the scene, and assisted firefighters in searching and rescuing the collapsed floor. At 1708, medical staff arrived at the scene and began to transfer the injured. Fortunately, due to the heavy rain, not many people came to the gymnasium today. The initial estimate was that there should not be many trapped people. However, it is not certain how many trapped people are still in the gymnasium. This has led to the rescue workers having to search every place carefully. However, due to the large area of the gymnasium and the large amount of garbage at any time, the rescue has been greatly affected. Now there is an extreme shortage of manpower, and every second increases the risk of casualties. Rescue is urgent. Chapter 29 Rescue. At the construction site of a university gymnasium in Inghai, The school gymnasium invested and built by the Johnson family has been suspended for a day due to heavy rain. The construction workers have just heard the news of the collapse of the city gymnasium, and the top leaders have urgently notified them to support the search and rescue work of the city gymnasium. The foreman of the construction site gave a speech to his workers in the heavy rain. The city gymnasium has collapsed. The group has called us to support the search and rescue. Because it is dangerous, it is voluntary. The group said that the bonus will be double for those who come to help. All risks will be borne by the group. Looking at the workers wearing raincoats, the contractor said, "Workers, there are old people and children trapped in the rubble. We have to help even if we don't have money. If you are a gentleman, take your belongings and follow me." There are currently more than 40 people on the construction site, all holding their own equipment, either pickaxes or shovels. No one retreats and all go out. Although we migrant workers don't have much knowledge, we know that human life is more important than anything else. When we are needed, we will do our part to ensure the safety of people's lives. The situation in the gymnasium has basically stabilized, and all parties have been involved in the intense rescue. After checking the personnel of the 6 schools, they found that except for the number 1 high school and Yutsai Middle School where the game was just being played, the other schools all had students missing, which meant that some students were trapped in the gymnasium. Thomas was outside the cordon, watching the rescue work getting into trouble due to lack of manpower. And he felt anxious because when he checked the personnel just now, he found that Johnson was not there. He must be trapped somewhere in the gymnasium. "Teacher Bayong, why don't we go and help too?" Thomas turned to Bayong and said, "Old who is still trapped inside." "You are kidding." Bayong stopped him sternly. "You are children. You can't get involved in such dangerous things. If you really want to, just help out outside and take care of the injured. Don't worry. There are rescuers here. Johnson will be fine." "Yes. Children just need to protect themselves." A police officer in charge of maintaining order happened to hear Thomas' words and hurried over to stop him. "You will only cause more trouble if you go. The firefighters still need to take care of you. Don't interfere with the rescue." Johnson had always been the backbone of the group, and when he suddenly disappeared, the group was at a loss for words. How could Lao who is so skilled, be trapped inside? When Johnson was just leaving the basketball hall, he saw a lady with a broken leg falling to the ground. He wanted to help her up so that he could evacuate with her, but the lady refused to leave and kept saying that her daughter was still upstairs, and he had to go find her. "You can't find anyone in your current state. How about this? I'll go up and take a look for you, and you follow the crowd out first." Johnson said anxiously, No, I want to find my daughter." The young mother cried, "I will not leave until I see my daughter. If anything happens to my daughter, I will not live anymore." Okay, Johnson said to the woman. "Wait for me in a safe place. I'll go up and take a look. If I can find it, I'll bring it down. If I can't find it, then you have to come with me." Thank you. The young mother knelt down to Johnson and kowtowed repeatedly. "It's okay, don't waste time. What's your daughter's name?" "Yao. She's 10 years old. She is learning tennis in the tennis court upstairs." "Go upstairs and turn right, and you will find the tennis court," said the young mother anxiously. "Okay." Johnson comforted the woman to sit down, turned around, and ran upstairs quickly. When he got upstairs, Johnson saw what the scene was like. The roof in the middle of the stadium had collapsed completely, and there were wailings everywhere. It was unknown how many people were trapped underneath. Rain was pouring into the house through the collapsed hole. Cracks were spreading in all directions, and steel bars, cement, and concrete were hanging on the roof and hanging down. Regardless of sadness, Johnson knew that now was the time to cheer up, so he rushed into the tennis court. The tennis court was near the edge of the gymnasium, and it was not as serious as the one in the middle. Looking around, he saw 2 girls and a man holding a little girl. Johnson ran to the little girl first. The man must have been hit on the head. There was blood on his head, and he had fainted. The wound was not big, and his breathing was stable. There were no boulders around. He must have been knocked unconscious by small stones. In his arms, he was holding a crying little girl of about 10 years old. He checked the girl's body and found no injuries. "Are you Yao?" "Woo, yes, woo. I am Yao," said the little girl crying. "That's great, Yao, don't cry. Mommy is downstairs. I'll take you to see Mommy later, okay?" Johnson wiped the little girl's tears. "Okay, woo." Then Johnson patted the man next to him and finally woke him up after a long time. It was Yao's tennis coach. Watching the man staggeringly carrying the little girl out on his back, Johnson ran to the other end of the court to check on the 2 girls. The situation of the 2 girls was more complicated. They were crushed by a huge rock. Fortunately, there was a bench where they were which supported the collapsed rock, so their lives were not in danger. However, one of them had her leg stuck in the crack of the rock, and it looked like she had broken it. The other one had her arm stuck between the rock and the bench and couldn't get it out. Please help us. We are stuck and I can't feel my feet anymore, a girl said weakly to Johnson. Johnson observed the situation and said to them, I will lift the rock from behind you and your feet will be freed. Then you can climb out. Then what should I do? If you lift the back, isn't that equivalent to putting all the strength in the front? Then won't my hand be broken? Another girl said. You're fine, Johnson said, because you were just stuck in the gap between the stone and the bench. It won't hurt your hand. Can you lift such a big stone by yourself? Said the girl whose foot was trapped. Everything depends on human effort. Johnson clapped his hands and grabbed the bottom of the boulder. I'll count to 3 and then I'll start lifting it. You just try to climb forward. Good. 1, 2, 3. As the 3 sounds fell, Johnson, who was in a horse stance, suddenly exerted force on his waist and legs, and the stone loosened little by little, but it was still not enough. Johnson held his breath and used all his strength. His face turned red. He slowly straightened his legs and his back. The girl who was trapped under the stone crawled out little by little. Okay, I'm out. Johnson didn't dare to relax when he heard the girl come out, because there was another one below, so he put the stone down little by little, breathing heavily, and walked to the front of the stone and rescued another girl in the same way. Chapter 30. Now that I am in a deep quagmire, I must be strong and brave. After rescuing both girls, Johnson sat on the ground and breathed a sigh of relief. The sudden burst of power was too much for Johnson. The 2 girls snuggled together. Because they were extremely nervous just now, they didn't take a good look at the appearance of the people who left them. Now that they were out of danger, they had the chance to take a look at Johnson. Huh? Is that you? The girl with the broken leg pointed at Johnson and said, Oh, it's you. Because the girl's face was covered with dirt, Johnson looked at her carefully for a few seconds before recognizing her. Isn't this the female celebrity who got into his bed a few days ago, or got into his car, and was followed by a camera? What a fate we can meet like this. You know each other. The girl next to him started to talk. Hello, handsome guy. I'm Wang Ziki's best friend. My name is Li Yu. Thank you for saving us. It's okay, it's okay. I'm here to save someone. She and I have a deep connection. Maybe it's God's will, Johnson said. The person sitting on the ground was not Wang Ziki or someone else. Li Yu was her childhood friend. When she was in school, she moved from Jing City to Yinghai City because of work reasons at home. Wang Ziki took the opportunity to attend an event in Yinghai and secretly found Li Yu to play tennis together. This was their common hobby when they were young. Last Sunday, she was unlucky and was discovered by paparazzi. Today is Wang Ziki's last day in Yinghai City. She thought that there would be no paparazzi in this horrible weather, and there would be fewer people in the gymnasium. Unexpectedly, they encountered such a thing after playing for a while. Little brother, stop making sarcastic remarks. My leg hurts so much. Please take me to the hospital. Wang Ziki endured the severe pain and joked with Johnson to ease the tense atmosphere. Johnson checked her injured leg and said, You can't walk for the time being because of your injury. When I was going upstairs just now, there were too many obstacles along the way. Even with the help of this sister, you may not be able to walk properly. It may even aggravate your leg injury. Then what should we do? Wang Ziki didn't seem to care about Johnson, his age, and asked directly. How about this? Johnson picked up a few tennis rackets that had fallen aside. I'll simply fix your legs first. If there's no other conditions, just use your rackets. Just bear with the pain. After that, Johnson found a suitable place and placed the 2 tennis rackets on both sides of Wang Ziki's calves. He then took off his basketball uniform, tore it into strips, and tied her legs and rackets together in circles to fix them. Wang Ziki gritted his teeth and endured the pain from his leg injury, tears welling up in his eyes. Li Yu was anxious and looked at Johnson's movements with a worried look on his face. Soon, Johnson bandaged it and fixed it. Okay, this is such a big deal. The rescuers should be here soon. Judging from the situation, the stadium will not collapse any further. Then Johnson picked up Wang Ziki horizontally and carried her to the corner between 2 walls in a princess-like posture. It should be safer here. Just stay here and wait for rescue. Wang Ziki didn't dare to look at Johnson's bare-chested bronze skin and muscular abdomen. She lowered her head and said, Aren't you here with us? No, the situation outside is worse. Let me see if I can save a few more people before the rescue team arrives. After saying that, Johnson turned and left. You're a student. How can you help? Just stay here with us and wait for rescue. Li Yu shouted to Johnson. So, what if I'm a student? Before this situation, There were no teenagers or adults. There were only people waiting to be rescued, and those being rescued. No matter what the outcome, I will do my best. Now that I'm stuck in the quagmire, I must be strong and brave. Hey, you haven't told me your name yet. Wang Ziki shouted at Johnson's back after he reacted. Such a mysterious answer. How can I tell you? Johnson thought. What's wrong with telling you my name? Can you marry me? He still maintained the same attitude as when he first met Wang Ziki. Celebrities are all troublesome. Only by staying away from such troublesome people can you become less troublesome. Thinking about it in his mind, he didn't even turn his head, just waved his hand and trotted out. Still so shy. Wang Ziki looked at her back, which was covered in rain but reflecting the light, and a smile appeared on her face. The situation became difficult after they left the tennis stadium, because Johnson had no life detector or search and rescue dog, so he could not accurately find the trapped people. He could only help some injured people move to a safe place, and then identify the location of the trapped people based on the faint cries for help and gasps. The rocks were cleared one by one, and Johnson's palms and body were rubbed by the rocks one after another. The most serious injury was on his thigh. Because he lifted the rock too hard, his body fell back due to inertia, and a steel bar pierced his thigh muscle. He didn't care about anything else, and he found a piece of rag from somewhere and wrapped it around his leg injury to continue saving people. He knew that time was life. Although the efficiency was very slow, he successfully pulled out 2 or 3 injured people who were trapped under the rocks. While Johnson was still moving the rocks, the firefighters had already opened up a green channel with various tools. At first glance, he saw a shirtless young man desperately digging the rubble. Although the firefighters came quickly, it had only been about 20 minutes since the collapse. Johnson was completely focused during these 20 minutes. He used all his strength to move each boulder. He had already used up all his strength. In addition, the blood in his thigh had not stopped flowing. His face was pale from excessive blood loss. Johnson was now in a shaky state, supported only by his will. He was unaware that the rescuers had arrived next to him and was just mechanically moving the stones in his hands, until a firefighter whispered in his ear, "Young man, the firefighters are here. You are great. Now we are here. You can take a rest." Johnson subconsciously turned his head and looked at the people in rescue uniforms. There are still some people waiting for rescue in various venues. Hurry! He fainted as he said this. Young man, come on, bring the stretcher." Several firefighters came over and saw that Johnson was unconscious. They quickly took out the stretcher and carried Johnson downstairs. Wang Ziki was discovered by the rescue workers first and was carried down the stairs. Before he was sent out, he saw Johnson rescuing the buried people there. In the blink of an eye, he saw the unconscious Johnson being carried out one after another. After Johnson was carried out, the students and teachers of the first high school immediately surrounded him. Just at this time, the ambulance arrived. Johnson was immediately transferred to the ambulance and was taken away with Wang Ziki. Thomas was worried and followed them. Seeing this, Bayang immediately called James to tell him about Johnson's situation. Just kidding, if such a big sponsor got into trouble, he must contact his family as soon as possible. James was extremely anxious after hearing this. He knew that not only was the school's multi-purpose gymnasium built with money from Johnson's family, but Johnson's academic performance alone was a credit to the school. He immediately contacted Johnson's family. Chapter 31 Conflict is imminent. What? The roof of the gymnasium collapsed? Zhou Dahai was shocked when he heard the news on the phone and stood up with his hands on the table. What's the situation now? What? You don't know? What do you eat? Zhou Dahai thought for a moment, then said into the phone, "Quickly report the situation to the city, do our best to rescue, and be careful to limit the spread of the news." Can't limit it? I don't want to hear your reasons. We must control the news. All media are strictly prohibited from reporting and leaking the accident and the number of casualties. Only reports on the rescue situation are allowed. Then, police officers will be dispatched to the gymnasium and hospitals to maintain order and prevent any disturbances. After Zhou Dahai put down the phone, he immediately picked it up again and called his brother-in-law. "Hey, Yongsun, something happened in the gym. Do you know about it? Hurry up and sort out the accounts and materials. With such a big incident, the province will definitely send someone to investigate. If the country wants to investigate you, you can't escape at all. What should I do? Find someone to take the blame and make sure you take all the blame. Otherwise, just run away." After Zhou Dahai hung up the phone, he picked up his coat and got in a car and went directly to the stadium. After Duan Yongsun put down the phone, he smashed everything around him to vent his emotions. "Damn it, There's only one day left before the construction is about to start, and something went wrong. God is not on my side. He turned around and took out a stack of documents from the locked cabinet. Fortunately, I was already prepared. Hello, Sinyan. Yosa made a phone call. The person on the other end was Duan Sinyan, Duan Yongsin's biological sister. Something happened at the gym. Pack up your things, take the nearest flight, and leave the country immediately. Okay, got it? The person on the other end of the phone seemed to already know what happened. He answered calmly and then hung up. At the gymnasium, with the participation of various social workers, the rescue progress was very fast. The injured were carried out on stretchers one after another. The lightly injured were sent to various hospitals by spontaneously organized private cars and taxis, and the seriously injured were sent to the hospital by ambulances. I don't know if the rain was a good thing because the strong wind and heavy rain accelerated the collapse of the building, but it was because of this heavy rain that there were not many people in the gymnasium today. Otherwise, the hospital would not know if it could take over. Johnson didn't know how long he had slept, but he was awakened by a quarrel. It was already 11 o'clock in the middle of the night when he woke up. He asked himself, "Where is this?" "Damn, you finally woke up. I was scared to death." Thomas's big black face appeared in front of Johnson. "Where is this? Give me some water." Johnson asked again after seeing the person next to him. Thomas poured a glass of water and helped Johnson to drink it. "This is Inghai City Hospital. How could you be unconscious for 6 hours?" Johnson took a sip of water and covered his still, dizzy forehead. "How is the rescue going?" "I don't know." Thomas spread his hands. The news only said that 20 trapped people had been successfully rescued and sent to the hospital for treatment, but there was no follow-up. Anyway, the hospital was very busy coming and going. Seeing Johnson lying back on the bed, Thomas complained to him. "You lost so much blood. Don't you know how to deal with it yourself? You were almost bleeding out, and I had to transfuse a lot of blood before you recovered. What's going on outside? Why is it so noisy?" Johnson asked softly. Thomas briefly explained the situation to Johnson. Since 5:30, injured people have been sent in for treatment. But for some reason, some families were not allowed to see them after they were sent in. When the families inquired about the situation, they were only told that they were rescuing them. It has been nearly 6 hours, and there is still no further explanation. Just now, a nurse let it slip that a patient was not breathing when he was sent in at 6 o'clock, so the other family members outside could not wait any longer. Didn't that cause a quarrel? Let's go take a look. Johnson was about to get out of bed, but he felt weakness in his left leg and almost collapsed to the ground. "Wait a minute." Thomas quickly stopped him and pushed a wheelchair over. "Your thigh is injured. Take this." There were already a bunch of family members protesting outside the door, demanding an explanation from the hospital, but no one explained. The only people waiting for them were the police outside the doctor's office. Johnson sat in a wheelchair and watched for about 20 minutes, only to see the lonely backs of the family members and a group of indifferent government officials. "Help me up," Johnson said. Thomas helped Johnson up and walked towards the most serious part of the argument step by step. "Everyone stop and be quiet. Third brother, take out your cell phone and record it," Johnson said weakly to Thomas, and then adjusted his breathing and stood firmly on the opposite side of the hospital and the police. His tone became steady and firm. "It has been 6 hours since the collapse of the gymnasium in the front area of Inghai City. The injured have been sent to the hospital one after another. What has the hospital been doing during this period? Is the patient okay or not? Alive or dead? After such a long time of rescue, has anyone communicated with the family? Don't we need to communicate with the family?" Then Johnson pointed at the people on the other side and said, "There are so many police officers, so many government officials, and people from the sports bureau, but no one said anything. So many family members begged you to help communicate with the doctors, but no one helped. So, what are you doing here? What are you supposed to do? Are you only going to report the situation to your superiors?" Then he said to the office with the door closed, "Shouldn't the doctor communicate the rescue situation with our family members at any time and let us know?" The patient was sent in at 6 o'clock and had no vital signs. The family members didn't know until 11 o'clock. "What were you doctors doing for such a long time?" Did anyone explain to the family members? They only said that they were still rescuing the patient. "How dare you tell us that they were rescuing the patient after 5 hours without any vital signs?" Johnson began to question. More and more parents took out their phones to record the moment. At this time, 2 policemen came over and said, "This has nothing to do with you. We'll talk about it later." As they said that, they were about to pull Johnson away. "I wonder who dares to touch me today?" Johnson shouted. "I am not breaking any law now. I am just fighting for the legitimate demands of our people." The family members saw that someone took the lead to support them, and that even if he was a student, he was a leader with careful thinking and clear language. Immediately, many people surrounded him and prevented the police from taking the person away, and a conflict was about to break out. Chapter 32 Rebuke. Don't move. Johnson opened his arms to stop the rioting crowd. Then he said to the police, "As public security police, you are doing nothing and just staring at us ordinary people. I won't say anything else. Maybe it's because your duty is to maintain order and you are afraid that we will cause trouble, but we are not causing trouble now. We are just family members of patients who want to have a normal communication with the doctor." Johnson pointed at the mobile phones recording videos around him and said, "There are so many mobile phones recording videos here. Tell me, what law in the country allows you to arrest me in this situation? Is this the attitude of the public security system in Shanghai City? I am standing here now. Who dares to take the risk and touch me?" Johnson was not afraid at all. He stood up straight and pointed at the policeman opposite him and scolded him. The policeman was also shocked by his words and didn't know whether he should continue to stop him for a moment. Johnson saw that the police stopped moving and continued. "And government officials, what are you doing? Are you here to watch the fun? Can't you see the people's demands?" The mayor of the station front area came just now, showed his face, took a photo, and then disappeared. "How can you prove that you were here? Can you prove that you were at the forefront of the accident? Are you still going through the motions after such a big thing happened? The accident happened in the area under your jurisdiction. What problem have you solved? Just now, many anxious family members surrounded you and asked you to help communicate. What did you say? You said you don't have the contact information of the hospital doctor and you can't communicate. This is your attitude." Johnson's words aroused the anger of the family members in the hospital, and they all echoed him. Johnson continued, "I don't know what happened here that led to the concealment of the accident. I don't care whether it was corruption or bribery, whether it was to reduce the impact or to wait for good news of rescue. I am not qualified to represent these patients' families. I am only expressing my demands as an ordinary citizen. First, the patient's rescue process should be transparent and open. Doctors should keep in touch with the family members at all times. Whether the patient is alive or dead, the hospital has the obligation to inform us of the patient's condition. Second, find out the cause of the stadium collapse and give the patient and his family a reasonable explanation." "Is everyone recording this?" Johnson asked around. "It's recorded." People around responded. "The emperor is far away, and the roots of a big tree continuously transport nutrients upwards. But the branches and leaves rotted, and all the nutrients transported were wasted. Although we believe in the country, there are lower-level governments that do nothing, deceive their superiors and hide the truth, and engage in corruption and bribery." Johnson couldn't help but sigh to himself. "Okay, everyone posted to Moments, TikTok, Kuaishou, and Weibo. No one cares. We will take care of it ourselves. Now that the internet is so developed, I wonder how long they can keep it secret." After saying these words, Johnson's face turned pale again, and he felt dizzy. Thomas came over to help him and took him back to his bed to rest. Johnson asked Thomas for a cell phone to make a call, but the cell phones were buried in the gymnasium, so Thomas took a spare cell phone temporarily. "Hello, brother, it's me. Do you know about what happened in Shanghai City?" Johnson called his elder brother and told him about it. "Johnson, you're okay. Do you know that your situation has scared your parents? Mom just called me and said she would go to Shanghai to see you." The voice on the phone responded, "Don't talk about anything else. I'm asking you if you know about the collapse of Shanghai Stadium." Johnson interrupted impatiently. "I know. I just got news from Shanghai City that 32 people have been successfully rescued and there are no casualties so far." The voice on the phone responded, "Oh, there are no casualties yet. Do you know how many people are slightly injured and how many are seriously injured?" Johnson asked again. "That's not really clear." There was a response after a moment of silence on the phone. "Hu Mingshan, you are the deputy secretary of the provincial party committee, and Shanghai City is a subordinate city. How can you not even know the casualties when such a big thing happened? How can you be an official like this? I am now in Shanghai City Hospital here." Johnson told his eldest brother everything he had seen and heard. His elder brother was on the other end of the line, and he unconsciously clenched the phone, his face flushing and turning pale. "Johnson, don't worry. Our province will definitely take this matter very seriously, and we must give justice to the people." It was already 12:30 in the night. Hu Mingshan put down the phone and immediately contacted his secretary. "Organize a meeting of all departments immediately." "What do you mean you should take a break? How dare you take a break after such a big thing happened? Damn it, call all the people who are still alive." Things started to ferment that night. At first, the video was only circulated in a small circle. In addition, it was already midnight, so the speed of spread was not fast and the number of people paying attention was not large. The turning point was the appearance of a person, that is Wang Ziki. Wang Ziki was sent here with Johnson. She had a serious fracture and was scheduled for surgery immediately because of her status. She was hospitalized after the surgery and her legs were elevated, so she couldn't get out of bed. Liu came with her. Only one person was allowed to stay in the hospital to take care of her, so the agent and assistant went back first. Because Liu was not injured, she came out for a walk after Wang Ziki lay down and found the collective protest of the family members. She arrived earlier than Johnson, so she was more familiar with the conflict between the masses and medical and government staff. She recorded Johnson's entire statement in front of everyone and showed it to Wang Ziki when she got back. Johnson talking in the video, and for the first time as a star, she began to admire someone else. Send me this video. Wang Ziki took out his mobile phone to receive the video, opened the video software, cut out a section of Johnson's speech, and uploaded it to Weibo with a message. Before the rescue arrived, it was this student who was alone in the ruins and confronted death. When the government did nothing, it was this student who stood up and fought for the interests of the people. As a person who personally experienced the incident, I thank this hero who saved my life. At the same time, I also despise the inaction of the relevant leaders and oppose the formalism of going through the motions. I pay tribute to the heroes fighting on the front line and despise the leaders who evade the problem. I strongly demand that the cause of the incident be thoroughly investigated, the rescue process be communicated, and the number of casualties be made public and transparent. The people have the right to know. As soon as this Weibo post was published, it immediately went viral, with netizens leaving comments one after another in the comment section. Ziki seems to be in Inghai. Is Ziki also injured? Is it serious? I feel so sorry for Ziki. The gym in Inghai City is pretty serious. It's a good government, but it's ruined by a few termites. In just 1 hour, it became a hot topic on Weibo. This open challenge to a prefecture-level city government was immediately known to Wang Ziki's company. Her agent, Sister Lan, called her right away and said, "Wang Ziki, do you want to quit? How dare you post anything? Quickly withdraw it. I'm going to find someone to write the PR copy now." "No need, Sister Lan," Wang Ziki said. "It is said that actors are disloyal. But in this kind of right and wrong, as a public figure, I should take the lead and speak out. I am no better than an underage student. If any problems arise, I, Wang Ziki, will bear the responsibility alone and will never cause trouble for the company." Chapter 33. The rain stopped. Hello, hello. Sister Lan was listening to the busy tone on the other end of the phone, and she was very upset. She knew that Wang Ziki was very stubborn and would not change her mind. She said she would take responsibility for the problem, but the company could not ignore it. If something went wrong, the company would still have to cover the consequences. She then called the public relations team and analyzed all the possible situations. All links were prepared to deal with the upcoming emergencies. Public figures are very powerful, especially popular stars like this one, whose fans are of all ages, so their attention is very high and their messages spread very quickly. There are even several topics on Weibo, such as popular actress Wang Ziki asked the public to speak out, "What are the authorities doing?" And a teenager gave a passionate speech to denounce the inaction of the Inghai government. A strong youth means a strong country. As the topic became more popular, the incident quickly spread from Inghai City to Liao Province and then to the whole country. At this point, people all over the country who were concerned about this incident joined in the condemnation. In the Inghai municipal government, the mayor pointed at Zhou Dahai's nose and cursed, "Didn't you tell me that the injured have been successfully rescued and their conditions are stable? Didn't you say that the results are particularly good and the orderly work reflects the government style of serving the people?" The mayor suddenly threw the folder in Zhou Dahai's face. "Look at these reports. What has happened? The provincial government has called me many times to inquire about the situation. Now they have ordered me to properly handle this incident in Inghai City and give the people an explanation. Yes, yes, yes. I will definitely solve it immediately and handle it properly," Zhou Dahai stated respectfully. The mayor continued, "All government officials should go to hospitals and homes to solve all the people's problems, no matter how big or small. I don't want more negative news tomorrow. Always remember that you represent the face of the government." The meeting is adjourned. The rain has stopped. Finally, with the efforts of all parties, all the trapped people were rescued at 3 a.m., with a total of 56 people rescued, including 38 people with minor injuries, 12 people with serious injuries, and 6 people dead. At the same time, the Inghai municipal government held a press conference in the morning. announcing the entire rescue process. And the provincial government notified the dispatch of an investigation team to Qinghai City to investigate the collapse of the gymnasium and the rescue process, and it is bound to give the people a satisfactory answer. The last basketball game was interrupted due to venue problems. Due to this situation, the league organizing committee negotiated and decided that number 1 high school and Yutsai High School would both become champions. Monday morning was a nice day. After the first class in the classroom of grade 1, everyone was talking about what happened on Sunday. Unlike others, Wang Ting was still brainwashing Jessica. Jessica, I'm not saying anything, but Johnson has no sense of propriety and wants to show off. His reputation has been ruined. I don't know how many troubles he will face in the future. A student dares to challenge the government openly. His future is ruined. Jessica also felt that Johnson's actions this time were inappropriate and a bit too personal, but she still defended Johnson. He has no selfish motives. He just saw someone suffering and he had a kind heart. He simply wanted to help people. Having a good heart. What's the use? Wang Ting pointed out to Jessica. Let me analyze it for you. First, Johnson's family is poor. Look at how ordinary his food and drinks are. When he has nothing to do, he takes advantage of his classmates and asks them for help. I saw him several times forcing his friends to treat him to a meal. Second, now he is openly challenging the country, making the government lose face and unable to back down. If you get close to him, don't let him affect you. The Tax Bureau, the Industrial and Commercial Bureau, the Fire Bureau, and other bureaus will come to your mother's stall every now and then to check it out. Then forget about your job. Wang Ting shook her head as she spoke. He has no money, no power. He is a male chauvinist. He likes to show off. He doesn't know how to be romantic. He doesn't take you seriously and doesn't care about you. I really don't understand why you have a special liking for him. No, we're just classmates and very good friends. Jessica lowered her head. It is said that he is in hospital now, and we don't know when he will be discharged. The learning progress of this school is so fast, he will definitely not be able to keep up. Sigh. Wang Ting sighed. It's really unlucky. He finally got into the first high school with the top score, but now he has to fall behind in his studies again. Hello, hello, hello. 2 things to announce. The voice from the broadcasting room came from the classroom loudspeaker. First, congratulations to our school's basketball team. Under the leadership of physical education teacher Bai Yang, they successfully qualified for the Provincial High School Basketball League. This is the best result our school has ever achieved since its establishment. Congratulations to them. Second, in the collapse of the city gymnasium on Sunday, Johnson from Class 8 of Grade 1 remained calm during the basketball game, assisted the physical education teacher in organizing the orderly evacuation of students, and rescued many trapped people by himself. We would like to commend him, but at the same time, we would like to remind everyone to help others within their ability. You are all students, and you must learn to protect yourself outside. You see, the school doesn't support this kind of pretentious behavior, said Wang Ting. Jessica looked up and Wang Ting said, You seem to have misunderstood. The school means that because we are students, we are a vulnerable group. Of course, the school encourages us to develop the spirit of helping others, but we need to see clearly whether it is within our ability. We must learn to protect ourselves first, and then help others. Wang Ting sneered. I don't understand what you're saying. I only know that Johnson is in the hospital. You too. I advise you to stay away from him and don't get yourself into trouble. Yes, I understand. Zoku wants to ask us to go out for lunch at noon today. What are your plans? Wang Ting asked. No, I'm going to the hospital to see Johnson at noon. Okay, whatever you want. Zoku, who just returned to the classroom, happened to hear this sentence. Oh, Johnson, you are really charming. Johnson is now being cared for by a nurse. After treatment, Secretary Wang has arranged for him to be admitted to a single room. Their father, Hu Jinyu, has been informed of Johnson's condition. Upon hearing that their son was not seriously injured, the couple finally put their minds at ease. However, they still found a senior nurse from their area and flew to Qinghai City overnight to take care of Johnson's daily life. Of course, the one announced to the public is definitely an ordinary nurse. At noon, Johnson's ward was full of students. The entire basketball team came to check on Johnson's injuries. Sonny even called his father over to confirm Johnson's injuries again and again. Not only was the ward full of people, but there were also many people standing outside the ward. These people were not students, but had colorful hair and various tattoos. These were some of the friends Johnson met when he and Thomas came out to challenge each other in the early days. Now they are basically hanging out in Thomas' boxing gym or billiard hall. They came to visit spontaneously when they heard that Johnson was injured. Just now, the team members and Jessica were all shocked when they came, thinking that enemies had blocked the hospital. Chapter 34 Police Inquiry. Johnson, you have to be hospitalized. What about your studies? Jessica asked with concern after sending all the basketball team members away. After Jessica finished speaking, she saw Thomas and the others looking at her with amusement. What? Did I say something wrong? Thomas chuckled. Sister, have you ever seen him study seriously? Is he the kind of person who has to go to school like you to keep up with the class? I really don't know what you've been doing with him for so long. Yes, Jessica recalled. Johnson never listened seriously in class during school, and he had fought and skipped classes countless times. His grades were entirely based on his brain rather than hard work. Johnson waved his hand and interrupted Thomas. Don't worry, my injury is nothing serious. I will be discharged from the hospital after 2 days of rest. It's fine. As they were talking, a quarrel was heard in the corridor. Zhang Jiong went out to take a look and soon brought 2 policemen in. Lao Hu, I'm here to find you. There was a conflict between him and the brothers outside. Really? Why are you standing here guarding in broad daylight? Someone might come and murder me. Ignoring the police who came in, Johnson said directly to Zhang Jiong, tell them to get out of here and stop gathering outside. Zhang Jiong agreed and left. The 2 policemen were embarrassed to see no one greet them, but it was not their first day on duty, so they did not exchange pleasantries and went straight to the point with Johnson lying on the bed. Johnson, right? Yes, it's me. Johnson sat up a little straighter. I'm from the Station Front District Public Security Bureau. I want to know some information from you. The policeman took out his ID and handed it to Johnson. Johnson simply glanced at it and didn't reach out to take it. I'm a wounded soldier. Is there anything you need to ask? Or do you want to commend me for my bravery? Don't be so sarcastic. Just answer whatever you are asked and cooperate with the investigation. I'm sorry. Johnson shook his head. I can't cooperate without telling you the reason. Johnson had already guessed the purpose of the police's visit. They were trampling on the majesty of the government and coming to cause trouble. How dare you ignore? The policeman was about to warn Johnson, but was interrupted by Johnson. Brother Hao, take out your phone quickly. These 2 police officers didn't even bring a recorder with them. We need to leave something behind to avoid being framed. Johnson said to Liu Yu Hao, by the way, didn't a journalist give us a business card last night? If this officer continues to interrogate us without reason, we'll have to give the journalist a favor. Upon hearing this, the police quickly took out his recorder and turned it on. I was just saying hello to you just now, don't get excited. And you. The police pointed at Liu Yu Hao and said, you can record the video, but please respect the facts and don't edit it maliciously. What a respect for facts. Johnson clapped his hands. Then please tell me, officer, what have I done that requires me to be questioned by the police? Someone reported that you used extremism to incite and instigate the masses to resist the people's government, and you are suspected of provoking trouble. We are now questioning you according to the law. The police responded. Picking quarrels and provoking trouble? Uncle Police, you must have made a mistake. Johnson saved a lot of people in this disaster. He was speaking for the masses. Everyone has seen the video. He didn't pick quarrels and provoke trouble. Jessica hurriedly explained. It's okay. Since the police have already explained the reason, we law-abiding citizens will definitely cooperate with the law. Johnson stopped Jessica and said to the police, ask any questions you have. Who are those people outside? Why are they gathering outside your ward? What is their purpose? The police continued to ask. Friend, no purpose, just came to see me. You should have left by now. Friends? They are wearing colorful clothes, have tattoos, smoke, and are so sloppy. They say they're your friends. You are only in high school. How come you have these friends? The police caught up with the topic. Uncle Police, please don't look at people with tinted glasses. Apart from their unique clothing and appearance, everyone works hard to earn a living. If you say that, I'll file a complaint against you. Johnson said to Liu Yu Hao, this kind of talk must not be missed. It must be recorded in full. Liu Yu Hao had a look of disgust on his face. You don't have to tell me. Just answer your question. How did you know each other? The policeman ignored the quarrel and continued to ask. Oh, my employees and customers. Thomas answered quickly. My family owns a lot of boxing gyms and billiard halls, and we often hang out together, so we know them all. Seeing the policeman's disbelieving expression, Thomas added, why don't you go check it out? He can't escape. Our boxing gym is still well known in Yinghai City. It's not up to you whether to investigate or not. We have our own procedures. You should answer whatever is asked of you. You don't need to answer anything that is not asked. The police educated Thomas and then continued to ask Johnson, do you know what happened to you? Johnson spread his hands. Can't you see that? He has a penetrating wound to his thigh and has lost too much blood. He is now in the hospital. Honestly, did I ask you about your condition? I asked you if you knew what you had done wrong. Looking for trouble? Johnson asked tentatively. So you admit that you were causing trouble? The policeman looked at him. You said that, Johnson retorted. You said I was provoking trouble and endangering national security. Isn't it? The police took out his phone and played the video of Johnson in the hospital last night. You instigated the people to clash with the government in public places and promoted and spread government crises. This is you. I don't admit it. Johnson took one look and quickly waved his hands to deny it. It's me, and what I said is correct, but everyone knows the background of what I said. We are just fighting for our interests reasonably and have not had any conflicts with anyone. Our country is a country with freedom of speech. There is nothing wrong with what I said, and everyone is spreading it legally. Oh, by the way, I'm just an actor and I didn't participate in the dissemination. You should also pay attention to this. Who told you to say these things? The police continued to ask. There are 3 of them in total. Who? Johnson counted on his fingers. The first person is called conscience, the second person is called truth, and the third person is called the people. Johnson again. False. Johnson seriously warned the policeman. Just tell me about these issues, but don't let the patient's family hear them, or I'm afraid you may not be able to leave the hospital wearing this outfit. You dare to threaten the police? The man who was questioning had red and white spots on his face. Don't think that we won't do anything to you just because you are a minor. There is no threat, it's really just advice. Okay, one last question. Another policeman stopped the policeman from exploding and asked, what does the collapse of the stadium have to do with you? Johnson's eyes narrowed when he heard this, and he finally stopped laughing. What do you mean? Chapter 35 Talk to me. When the police asked this question, not only Johnson's face tensed, but everyone else was also shocked. If such a big thing had anything to do with them, it would be a big deal. Jessica panicked. Uncle Police, they're just students who went to participate in a basketball game. What does it have to do with the collapse of the gymnasium? No one else can speak, the police officer said to Johnson. I'm asking you a question. Please answer my question. Johnson narrowed his eyes and said, I have nothing to do with the collapse of the stadium. I just want to help with the rescue. I don't know anything else. According to the information we have learned, you were staring at the ceiling absent-mindedly during the game, and you were the first to signal a pause. For a normal person, hearing some loud noises would only result in a shocked reaction, and it would not affect what was going on. It seemed like you were prepared for this. Johnson didn't say anything, just watched the police talking nonsense. Then, according to the surveillance video, you went to the restaurant on the 3rd floor at 1500 hours and hid behind a pillar for 2 minutes out of the surveillance field of view. This pillar happened to be the most central area of the collapse. What were you doing at this time? It's just an unconscious turn. Turn around? Why are you the only one turning around while no one else is turning around? The police asked. Otherwise, you should have taken a good look at the surveillance footage. There was a cleaner, a restaurant staff member, and a child nearby. How can you say that the others were not there? Johnson asked. Oh, you remember it clearly maybe because you feel guilty. If you didn't feel guilty, how could you remember several people after such a long time? You don't need to throw dirty water on me, Johnson said. I can't bear the accusation of suspected terrorist activities. If you have evidence, arrest me. If you don't have evidence and continue to say such slanderous things about me, then talk to my lawyer directly. Kid, I advise you to confess, and I will give you a lighter sentence, said the police. Don't bullshit me. Johnson was no longer polite. I'm 16 years old. I risked my life to save so many people yesterday. I don't ask for anything in return or any reward, but you can't blame me. You know what you were doing here. There will definitely be people from above to investigate such a big thing, and the cause of the accident will soon be revealed. Go back and persuade your leaders not to ruin their own future just to disgust me. The most important thing now is to take corrective measures. I'm sorry, I'm tired and seriously injured. I don't want to talk anymore. Please go back. Seeing that the policeman wanted to speak, Johnson did not give him a chance and simply raised his hand to send him away. After that, Thomas and Zhang Zhiyong escorted the 2 policemen out of the ward. After leaving the ward, the 2 policemen felt bad. Brother, if we throw dirty water on such a good kid, will the child be born without an anus? Asked the young policeman. Then what do you think I should do? We have been ordered to cause trouble for this kid. As low-ranking pawns, what else can we do except follow orders? The old policeman patted the young policeman. Let's go. We have other things to do. Inside the room, Thomas asked worriedly. Old who? You have offended the higher-ups. Someone above you wants to get rid of you. It's all right. Johnson waved his hand nonchalantly. Once the investigation team arrives, everything will be revealed. Now, they're just trying to disgust me and divert public opinion towards me. Don't worry, someone will help me handle it. At this moment, the provincial investigation team has arrived in Inghai City. As soon as the investigation team arrived, they immediately started working. Not only the investigation team, but also the comrades from the Provincial Commission for Discipline Inspection and Supervision have arrived in Inghai City at the same time. The impact of public opinion is too huge. Now the province must find out the truth as soon as possible. Give the people the truth, control public opinion, and restore the image of government officials among the people. Zoku had contacted several media outlets before, originally intending to write some articles and reports to discredit Johnson and make this incident into Johnson's deliberate sabotage. Although it was unrealistic, but if more people spread the news, even if it was bizarre, it would become true. This time, Zhokiki used a lot of connections and contacted almost all the media people. The big versus of various public accounts and social platforms published smear articles one after another. In a moment, the hero who saved lives respected by everyone turned into a terrorist who committed all kinds of evil. It is not easy to shape a person, but it is very easy to discredit him. Johnson is now polarized. One group of people believes that Johnson is a good student with all-round development in moral, intellectual, physical, aesthetic, and labor aspects, and a hero. They also say that they will not believe in rumors or spread them, and will not wrongly accuse a good child before the official conclusion is reached. Another group of people believe that Johnson was a bad boy who liked to fight and quarreled. They cited the example of Johnson as friends who were all bad boys with tattoos all over their bodies. They also pointed out that Johnson was an orphan without a father or mother and planned this action to take revenge on society. Some even said that Johnson had studied chemistry hard since he was a child, made his own explosives and buried them in advance, and blew up the gymnasium. Anyway, rumors were flying everywhere. A bunch of internet celebrities gathered outside Johnson's ward, all to join in the fun and take advantage of the hype. The ward corridor was so messy that it looked like a vegetable market. Everyone clamored for Johnson to be interviewed and give an answer. Not only Johnson, but also Wang Ziki, who reposted Johnson's video, was dragged into the whirlpool of public opinion. The Weibo comments have collapsed. Sister Lan repeatedly asked Wang Ziki to issue a statement to clarify that she was not aware of the matter, but Wang Ziki refused every time she thought of Johnson's glowing back when he saved her. The public relations team had no choice but to issue 3 short articles in the name of the company, calling on the public to remain calm and follow the final official conclusion. Thomas used his body to block the internet celebrity and reporters from rushing in. During the tearing process, Thomas's tattoo was discovered, and the subject of the interview suddenly became Thomas, with countless cameras and microphones pointed at Thomas. "Excuse me, are you Johnson's classmate? Excuse me, is Johnson your eldest brother? Excuse me, students with tattoos, are you delinquents? I know you. You were the runner-up in a youth amateur boxing competition. You have a bright future ahead of you. Why do you choose to be a social person?" It turns out that Thomas was more than capable of acting as a bodyguard to keep people out, but he was a little uncomfortable with suddenly becoming the protagonist, and his head was dizzy from the flashlights. Fortunately, the hospital security came to help maintain order. I don't know why no police came for such a long time. Pop! The door of the ward next to him opened. A girl in a wheelchair came out of the ward. "I'm Wang Ziki. You can talk to me." Chapter 36, Wang Ziki's interview. The power of the internet is so great that it can turn the dead into the living and the fake into the real. Cyberbullying and human flesh search can dig up a person's entire family and abuse them to pieces. Some people would say that only a fool would believe such a fake thing. Little do they know that there was once a famous talk show host named Song who openly said that the fairy sister was a transgender male. In that era when the internet was just emerging, his words convinced many people, not to mention today when news spreads so quickly. Not only Johnson, but also Thomas Boxing Gym has had parents or students apply for withdrawal and refund, and business has plummeted. Some radical youths even went to the billiard hall opened in the name of Thomas to smash and destroy, and the related business was forced to close down. In order to avoid setbacks, other billiard halls even posted a notice at the door. "The owner of this store is not Johnson and Thomas. Please have fun." Johnson's phone has been turned off. There is nothing he can do. As soon as he turns it on, he will receive a lot of spam messages and harassing calls. Jessica's mother seasoning stall is inspected 3 times a day. In the morning, it is the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. At noon, it is the Health Bureau. And in the afternoon, it is the Urban Management Bureau. They come more punctually than meal times. Every time they come, Yang's mother will lose a group of customers. After seeing her mother being ordered by the health bureau to suspend business for rectification one day at noon, she was still worried and called Zoku. That afternoon, the rectification notice for Yang's mother's stall was withdrawn, and no one from the relevant department came to inspect, and the business returned to normal. This made Yang's mother praise Zoku's ability in front of Jessica. At the same time, outside Johnson's ward, a group of influencers and reporters widened their eyes in surprise when they saw someone coming out of the ward next door. It's really Wang Ziki. Wang Ziki is here too. Hello, Wang Ziki. Are you injured? Wang Ziki. Are you related to Johnson? Wang Ziki's assistant and agent were more experienced. They stood in front of Wang Ziki, one on the left and one on the right, and kept calming the crowd. Everyone, please don't crowd. Ask one by one. Our Ziki has plenty of time to answer your questions today. Ask one by one, otherwise no one will be able to ask. After finally calming down the chaotic crowd, the agent, Sister Lon, pointed at one of the people holding the microphone and said, "If you have any questions, you can ask them first." Hello, Wang Ziki. I'm a reporter from today's talk. As usual, professional media would introduce themselves first. Excuse me, are you injured? Is the cause of your injury related to the gymnasium incident? Wang Ziki raised his leg with great effort, pointed at his injured leg and plaster, and said, "Look, it has become an elephant. When the gymnasium collapsed, a female friend and I were playing tennis on the third floor. We were hit by rocks and broke bones. The injury has been treated. Please don't worry, netizens. I will work harder to bring good works after my injury is healed." The star's desire to survive not only emphasizes meeting with friends of the same sex, but also shows their humble and hardworking personality to their fans. At the same time, they also update everyone on the status of their injuries so that everyone can relax. Johnson, the person who has been hotly discussed on the internet recently, another person asked the question. This person looked like an independent new internet celebrity. He neither introduced himself nor praised himself. He asked his own question directly without asking any questions. Wang Ziki smiled at her and said, "Please raise your hand next time you want to ask a question. There are too many people here. If everyone rushes to ask, it will be chaotic. Oh, and the next person who comes after you, please briefly introduce yourselves." Seeing the questioner blushing, Wang Ziki knew that she was a newcomer and did not put on airs. "I will answer the question just now. Mr. Johnson and I have a very delicate relationship." Here she used the word sir to express her respect for Johnson and did not look down on him because of his young age. "If you say we are familiar with each other, we have only met twice. If you say we are not familiar with each other, we have a lifelong friendship. Can you tell me more about this?" "He is my lifesaver," Wang Ziki said. "When I was trapped, he was the first to help me out of the predicament and gave me basic bandaging measures." "Are you saying that it was Johnson who helped you get out of this predicament?" "Damn, these guys are really setting traps all the time." Wang Ziki thought secretly in his heart. Most people would subconsciously agree to what he said above. If Wang Ziki said yes here, tomorrow's front page headline would definitely be, Wang Ziki implied that the rescue was inefficient. "I just said that he was the first person to help me. I also want to thank our fire rescue personnel for their quick rescue action and the orderly cooperation between various departments to send me to the hospital and receive treatment." With years of interview experience, Wang Ziki's answers are flawless. "Hello, Wang Ziki. I am Lu Xiaofang from the personal media. I would like to ask you, why did you forward the video to Johnson a few days ago and strongly support Johnson's behavior? Do you still want to support this Johnson behavior now? This is probably what everyone wants to ask." Wang Ziki thought for a moment. "First, I am very grateful to Mr. Johnson for saving me. Second, I admire Mr. Johnson for risking his life to save so many people. Third, I admire him for dragging his injured body to seek reasonable and legal interests for his boss. If a high school student can do this, why can't I, as a public figure, set an example for the public?" Then Wang Ziki said to the questioner, "You asked me if I still support him. My answer is yes. I will always support him. Our country needs such people to supervise. I am not much older than him, but he is my guide. I am not as good as him." "Hello, Wang Ziki. I am a reporter from Manhwa Radio. Do you have any opinion on the opinions criticizing Johnson on the internet?" "Whether it's true or not, I don't judge. I only believe what I saw," Wang Ziki said. "He saved me, my friend, a little girl, and a tennis coach. I saw him saving for people. Then he went to the most dangerous places alone to save people. I didn't even know his name. It was only after the internet kept fermenting that I knew his name was Johnson. You say he wants to take revenge on society. I don't believe it unless the government's investigation results are officially announced." Then Wang Ziki told the media, I urge everyone to be rational and not blindly follow the trend before the facts are clarified. Don't let an excellent boy be ruined by unfounded online violence. If the official report of such a ridiculous conclusion is really published one day in the future, I will voluntarily quit the entertainment industry and apologize to everyone. If you think about this kind of thing carefully, you will understand that they thought they were filming a movie, but they could also blow up a stadium to take revenge on society. So Wang Ziki dared to make this guarantee. Can you comment on your opinion of Johnson? Another reporter asked. He's a very tall, handsome, powerful, and selfless man. To be honest, I didn't even know his name before I was hospitalized. He is my hero. As Wang Ziki spoke, his face turned pink. Sorry, it's too hot. Chapter 37, Sister. I want to chase you.